Good morning and welcome to the AM show. This week, I entreat you to set an intention to do the best that you can in all your endeavors, be it work, family, personal life. Just tell yourself that you are going to give off your best in everything that you find yourself and see if it doesn't bring any positive change into your life. Now, on the AM show this morning, of course, we'll start with the news, the AM News, the first bulletin on this channel. And after that, we get into the news review. Nanaya Achapim Jantua, former Director of Public Affairs, PURC, will be joining us to get into the various stories captured in the newspapers. Haruna Mubarak will bring you AM Sport after that, and then we'll get into our big stories. Now, the race for the vice presidential slot for the New Patriotic Party intensifies as Dr. Bawumia's campaign train hits Ashanti region. What does this visit mean for the choice of a vice presidential candidate and who is likely to get the nod? We have seasoned political analysts to deal with the issues right here on the show. Also, Lois Soladeyemi engages prospective first-time voters on why they need to vote during the 2024 presidential and parliamentary elections. An interesting conversation you don't want to miss. You know, when Lois takes the microphone for just turned 18, it's a delight to watch her interact with all those young ones. So join us with your comments and your thoughts. This is the AM show, either on social media or on our phone lines when we open the phone lines. My name is Sweetie Abochi, and I do this with Benjamin Akakbo, and it's a pleasure to welcome you to a brand new week. Let's start with the AM News. This is the AM News with me, Sweetie Abochi. Details now. The NPP parliamentary candidate for the Amenfi East constituency, Ernest Frimpong, has denied inciting illegal miners to attack the military and encouraging them to undertake illegal mining activities in the region. In a video on social media, the parliamentary candidate is seen in a forum with persons thought to be illegal miners. Also at this forum was the Regional Minister Kwabena Ochodako, who also heads the Security Council in the region. The Amenfi East NPP parliamentary candidate, Ernest Frimpong, says his conversation was taken out of context.
We had a lengthy conversation. Among other things, we said that when you are working legally, people are supposed to do legal business. We and our government have put in place all legal entities to make sure that mining in the country is decentralized. Apart from that, I became a parliamentary candidate in December, and from January to now, we have seen a number of military, police, let me say security attacks on the miners who are legally doing their work. And you call to find out where these people are coming from, and you realize that it is coming from no authority. It has become a business for some people in the constituency. And per some investigations we have, it is just the opposition NDC who call on their friends in the security services to come and do operations in these mining sites to cause a lot of disaffection for the government. So people, even doing legal businesses, get to be attacked, extorted, and then their machines and things are destroyed.
Way
so
to
they
address
will be angry with
the way
government.
to address this is to attack uniformed men. Is that what you're saying?
I am saying that if the people in uniform can go to the length of engaging civilians in a business form to torment miners who are legally working, then they should be exposed. Because once you do that, you are deviating from what you are supposed to do. We have never spoken against legal mining. You and I, we all agree that the mining should be legal and we should refrain from river bodies, roads, and forests. That is what we are advocating. That is what the security agencies of this country have been championing.
The National Democratic Congress in the Central Region says it will resist any military intervention that's not sanctioned by the Military High Command in a process leading to the 2024 elections. Central Regional Chairman of the NDC, Professor Richard Eseju, is accusing the NPP of busing some military personnel to the Futu constituency to register in the constituency, a practice that he claims is against the norm. Now, addressing a news conference at Kaswa, he called on the military high command to investigate the issue.
As you are aware, the EC opened the proxy application and voter transfer window from 30th May to 14 June 2024. The exercise has been plagued with power crisis, machine and network breakdown on the side of the EC, and busing and plain gerrymandering by the NPP, most often in the plain sight of the Ghana Police Service. An instance at Esikumodobim Brakwa, branch of the NDC. In Esikumodobim Brakwa, voters were lured and bussed with financial inducement, disguised as business loans, and sent to Accra for registration. We are following up on this issue to identify the exact beneficiary constituency in Accra. Abra Sebukwamankesi. In Abra Sebukwamankesi, the NPP is auditing the EC register for dead people to register as proxy votes. We want to encourage everyone whose family has passed on to report to the exhibition center when the opportunity arises to strike out the names of their deceased relatives. A Futu constituency. In a Futu constituency, the majority leader and the MP4 and the MP, Honorable Afeyomakin, bussed 71 men clad in military uniform to transfer their votes to a Futu. This has raised a lot of eyebrows in the constituency, considering that the military-like and other security votes during the special voting exercise, which is organized ahead of the election, the general elections. Simply put, such people do have their processes done before the general election, so they vote as special voters. So the arrangement is different from the ordinary Ghanaian. We want the Ghana Armed Forces to investigate and come out with a response on these 71 men. The tragedy of Techiman South is still fresh on our minds, and the NDC will resist any military interventions that is not seconded or sanctioned by the military high command. On the 20th of July 2020, that's last 4 years, during a similar exercise, Madam Hawa Kumsi and the NPP tax visited similar mayhem at the EC registration center, compelling EC officers to run for their dear lives. In the scuffle, Madam Hawa personally fired shots whilst her tax destroyed properties, including burning motorbikes and injuring others. She accepted responsibility and told you pressmen that she fired shots at the registration center, that she accepted the blame. The police did not arrest her, but rather invited her to produce the papers on her gun. Despite her admission, the police said they did not have substantial evidence to prosecute her. The crime officer in charge of the investigation was transferred to the Eastern region, and the matter died there till her son and his tax resorted it this week. Today, we asked the Ghana Police Service, in whose presence Nas' car was ransacked, whether they saw her shooting and terrorizing people at the center like the NPP's Howard Kumsi.
The visits of the Asante Otumfuo Osei II to the Gamancha Palace has been hailed as a powerful symbol of Ghana's unity and the enduring strength of her cultural values. The Ashanti region and Greater Accra region are two important contributors to the country's economic and cultural development, making the visit a potent affirmation of the nation's shared identity. Asante Otumfuo Osei II has pledged 500,000 cedis to the Greater Accra Regional Education Trust Fund.
Odi kru ya musampa oka ho oye sebe munyina ya baako enti na obai ya ka ni sika no billion enum 5 billion ana yewra odi bo na odi sebe ato education fund no na amanfo nyinara eso fa bi ntum na moa ema sebe echima no etibibenya bi moa ma sebe adusua so ekoso so for say Australia me mawo Australia na mo sama fo nyina de mawo se nyame onhira wo danda nyara na gaman enye nkoso wo pray so na ehun sampa sebe obetra so no waye bi e de agya ama chima so abeto aso so de koto ko se no odo wase
In other stories, Ifijuase Government Hospital is grappling with a 10% rate of neonatal jaundice cases with only one functioning phototherapy machine and improvised methods risking the treatment and lives of patients. Neonatal jaundice, when left untreated, can lead to serious complications, including cerebral palsy and mental retardation of patients. As an intervention, an NGO, Redeeming Hands Foundation, has provided the hospital with its first ever Firefly phototherapy machine, valued at 62,000 Ghana cedis. There's more in this report by Clinton Yeboah.
Jaundice in newborns is a common condition in up to 60% of full-term babies during their first week of life and 80% of premature babies during their first week of life. The medical condition occurs when their liver are not developed enough to get rid of build-up bilirubin in the baby's blood. The Ifijuase Government Hospital has an improvised solution which prolongs hospital stay for the number of babies born with the condition. An improvised phototherapy device built with a wooden framework and 3 defective UV bulbs is the hope of treating neonatal jaundice in the hospital. In the absence of proper eye shields, nurses use nose masks as a protective measure to cover the eyes of newborns during phototherapy sessions. The situation not only underscores the inadequacy of the required medical technology, but also a major life risk to newborn babies battling neonatal jaundice. Clinical coordinator for the Ifijuase Government Hospital, Dr. Mercy Asari, says the condition compels her to refer her patients.
And this condition comes with very detrimental complications like cerebral palsy, hearing impairment, mental retardation, and which makes the babies or the children burdens to their caregivers and the society at large. Previously, with only one machine, it means that we don't have a choice but to refer. That's one of the things our mothers don't really like. We refer them sometimes and they're not able to go. So if we have the machine here, we'll be able to do everything. We'll be able to manage the neonatal jaundice, and then we don't need to refer them for phototherapy. Dr.
Asari was therefore elated when Redeeming Hands Foundation, an NGO, came to their aid with a Firefly phototherapy machine. It promises a quick intervention to clear jaundice conditions in babies. President of Redeeming Hands Foundation, Wendy Boatema Ofori, says the device will provide a timely and effective treatment of neonatal jaundice.
We all agree that when children are born with these kind of conditions, they don't only become, in quotes, a burden to their parents, they become a burden and they become dependent on the society and Ghana as a nation. God being so good, KGO funded us in getting money to buy this. It will help. It's timely intervention for babies that suffer neonatal jaundice. So it's only apparent that we as a foundation, we do what we can to help and support and curb some of the detrimental effects that come from untreated neonatal jaundice. This is a Firefly phototherapy machine.
District Health Director for the Secretary East District, Dr. Ofori Amoa, says the intervention will reduce cost of treatment for babies with neonatal jaundice.
And we don't have any sort of this machine here. We will have to always refer our cases to Asama, and that comes with a lot of complications and cost. So this is more than happy. We are so grateful. It's going to reduce a lot of complications and other cost elements, both to the parents, the family, and the entire society.
Reporting for Joy News, my name is Clinton Yeboah.
Physically challenged boy who tumbled from the stairs of the first floor of his school building and broke his hands. The incident forced him out of school, casting a shadow of doubt over his dreams of becoming a car designer. But today, there is hope on the horizon for Jeremiah Bedu Jr. after Joy Learning highlighted his plight in a moving documentary titled Slipping Dreams. Irene Adubia Ading has more in the following report.
Jeremiah Bedu Jr. school. He believes education is the surest way of achieving his dreams. But that dream is becoming a mirage for the 17-year-old boy.
Actually, I want to be a car brander and an artist, a big one like that. I am actually not going to school. Because of that, I'm seeing my dreams slipping out of my hands. I want to go back to school.
For the past 2 years, Jeremiah has been out of school and confined to his home due to health issues. All he finds solace in is to put his artistic skills into practice. This is his way of drowning his sorrows of not being in the classroom. His mother, now a single parent, unable to afford his medical bills, has been struggling to provide him with the care he needs. Despite the financial difficulties, she's been doing everything she can to ensure Jeremiah's well-being and comfort.
Yada no epojina jema na baga pobo na ya yele blele yotodum ajibe hana buero kibe yenya odum toreka anya no ikele Vietnam.
But there is help in the offing. A non-governmental organization, Center for Disability Entrepreneurship and Public Policy, CDEPP, has offered to support Jeremiah. This was after the founder, Andrew Okaikwe, visited Jeremiah at his residence in Accra to assist him achieve his fullest potentials.
I think I discovered Jeremiah on Joy program, Joy TV, and I said to myself, Jeremiah is the future. And one thing that I was touched about is not the disability, because for me, I don't see the disability in me. I see more potential. So, but when I heard him say he wanted to be a designer, I said, wow, somebody needs to support Jeremiah. And I think that is the potency that a lot of people living with disability have. So I realized he had a potential, and I thought somebody needs to put a smile on his face.
The executive director of the center, Veronica Mensah-Dorsey, reaffirmed the organization's commitment to assisting persons living with disabilities.
We work with communities and we identify persons with disability. We support them. We believe in inclusivity, accessibility, and entrepreneurship for all persons. We hope to do more, and we hope to support everyone, especially Jeremiah. We are working with him at the moment. We will make sure he goes back to school, and then his dream is achieved.
Jeremiah's prayer is to live a normal life and at the very least put his God-given talent to improving, to use, to help develop society. Irene Adobias reports for Joy Learning.
Away from that, the Executive Director of the Cocoa Health and Extension Division of the Ghana Cocoa Board, Reverend Edwin Afari, has called on the Forestry Commission to collaborate with all security agencies to arrest and prosecute illegal lodgers in order to protect forests and cocoa farms. Speaking in an exercise to plant over 15,000 trees across Agona Nyankrom and surrounding areas, Reverend Afari highlighted the significant damage caused by illegal chainsaw operators to cocoa farms in all 7 cocoa growing regions. There's more in this report.
Reverend Afari announced that the Central Region branch of the Cocoa Board is planting 600,000 trees in cocoa farms to boost cocoa production. He urged cocoa farmers to register with the Forestry Commission to claim ownership of the trees planted on their farms, preventing authorities from granting concessions to timber operators.
Trees provide shade, especially the desirable economic shade trees. They provide shade for us, for the cocoa trees. They help us to also be a carbon sink, sequestrate carbon. The European Union is asking Ghana to put more emphasis on afforestation and reduce, deforestation. And therefore, this is really one of the visions of the Chief Executive for us to plant as many trees as we can on all our cocoa farms all over Ghana to make sure that, these trees are also life. They're able to, when they evaporate them. We're able to attract a lot of water, rainfall in those particular areas. And then they aerate the soil so that, organic microorganisms are able to find ways to burrow and then turn the soil around. So we are happy to be here. We are happy to have our farmers with us. And we planted a lot of trees already, as you saw. We believe that these trees, if nurtured well, they can grow to support the farm, and the farm will be able to stand and do very well. We are only against illegal loggers. These trees are supposed to be registered in the name of the farmer so that they can own it. They have ownership for it. So illegal logging, we want to plead with the government and the security forces and forestry commission to put more policies and procedures in place to make sure that farmers are able to really protect these trees that we are planting and nurture them so that they can grow to support the vision that the president has.
The Aguna Nyakrum district manager of Shed, Prince Philip Akwenzi, appealed to cocoa farmers to allow Cocoa Board to cut down their old cocoa trees and replant them to enhance productivity.
What we are seeing here, this farm is barely a year. We treated this farm last year. When we talk of treatment, we are talking of cutting a diseased farm and replanting with the cocoa and plantain sucker. And as you can see, the plantain is what? It's fruiting. The cocoa is also doing very well. You can see some of the cocoa are even flowering. This is less than a year cocoa. And we want to thank all the farmers. We want to bring all of them on board. Any farmer whose cocoa is not doing well, is disease, infected by swollen shoot virus disease, should get him or herself involved. When your farm is treated, we pay you a compensation. After the compensation, everything we bring to this farm, the cocoa you see in this farm is free. The farmer paid nothing for it. The plantain that you see here was supplied for free. The farmer paid nothing for it. And the farmers are working in their farms and we are paying them every month. So the farmers should come on board so that we all join this exercise. At the end of the day, we are bringing back the Ghana cocoa industry to help all of us. Cocoa is Ghana and Ghana is cocoa.
Beneficiaries of the cocoa replanting exercise commended government for coming out with such initiatives.
Coming up next is Business Update with Benjamin Akakbo.
Thank you for staying. Now in business, the GCB Bank PLC and the Ghana Communication Technology University have signed a memorandum of understanding on the importance of nurturing young talents in the fields of technology and cybersecurity. Now, the agreement aims to leverage the strategic partnership to contribute to the professional development of students. Speaking to Joy Business at the signing ceremony, Deputy Managing Director Operations at GCB Bank, Emmanuel Datilamte, indicated that the partnership would afford them the opportunity of benefiting from the fresh perspectives and innovative ideas of students while reinforcing the bank's commitment to supporting education and community development.
GCB Bank, we take cybersecurity very, very seriously. We are ISO 27001 certified, also with PCI DSS. Mandatory training for all of our staff, right from the managing director through to everybody, every colleague in the bank. We do have mandatory training as part of our cyber combating or addressing cyber risks in our bank. So we are really excited. We take all of these seriously. It's not just about providing banking solutions to our clients, but also in a safe manner. That is why we'll continue to intensify our education in the various languages across Ghana. So we are really excited about what we are doing for this country. We are also excited about this partnership that will go a long way to contributing to world-class, developing world-class talents working with your institution.
Now, the Ghana Interbank Payment and Settlement System, GIPS, says it will be embarking on some form of advocacy to promote the use of its various digital payment systems like eSwitch and Ghana Pay. This is to ensure that physical cash transactions become minimized across the country. Chief Executive of GIPS, Archie Hesse, disclosed this to Joy Business after receiving an award at the just-ended 13th Ghana Information Technology and Telecom Awards in Accra.
We are at a stage of the development where we need to focus on usage. And when we talk about usage, we're talking about collaboration, we're talking about engaging with the whole sectors of the economy. I remember when we started, we were dealing with banks, but now we are dealing with fintechs, we are dealing with the mobile money companies, we are dealing directly with corporates to ensure that usage is, we grow usage for the country. And I believe that that's where we are headed.
And that's how we cap off the business news, handing over back to Sweetie Abachi.
Benjamin, so the AM news is done, but still to come, we have sports and we have newspaper review and then our big stories. But starting with Nanaya Jantwa joins us for the newspaper review segment. Stay with us.
Welcome back on the news review. It's time now for us to dig into the papers, and you see, is it Red Riding Hood?
Whatever happened to Mary Poppins? Yes.
Mary Poppins, today you're Red Riding Hood.
Yeah.
With your red and white. You look dashing, though.
Thank you, Benjamin. I wish I feel as good as I look.
You'll get there. You'll get there. It's that kind of morning, and there are so many bugs in the system, so stay healthy. But right before we introduce our guest this morning, Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic helps us bring you this segment every weekday morning. And they're offering you same this morning. If you're a man, prostate screening for free. If you're a woman, fertility screening for free. Reach out to them at any of their branches. Let's start with here in Accra. They are at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard. Kumasi, Kronoma here behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's also Takrady Anaji State Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa and Siamanzama. You can also call them on these two lines. Are you ready? 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. The start of the news review, though, and Sweetie Abachi will be telling us about our guest, former PRO, PURC.
Yes, Nanaya Jantwa. And she'll be joining us
I heard you pronounce the name earlier, yeah. and I wanted to hear you do it again. It sounded nice.
Benjamin.
I think she also likes the Achepim.
Achepim, yeah.
Nanaya Achepim
Jantwa.
If she were here, I'd make a bit of fun with her.
Right.
But before we have her come in, I just want to talk about a news item you actually read this morning. You know, the parliamentary candidate, is that Memphis East?
Yeah. Words taken out of context, that issue?
Hey! No, I have to ask, are we sane in this country? A parliamentary candidate. Yeah. So when people talk about, oh, those in power, those who walk the corridors of power, are complicit when it comes to Galamsey, then you have a parliamentary candidate of the ruling administration come and say something like this. And you, Galamsey, as if officers, the security beats them up. And this person will still be able to stand.
Yes. The laws don't apply to those in power, Benjamin. It's time we remind ourselves that the law only applies to ordinary citizens. Once you have some sort of political
but
power,
you see,
you can get away with anything if you know how to play your cards right.
This nonsense must stop. This morning, this nonsense must stop. Just like some DCE shared money and was talking, the OSP has been on that case, it's amounted to practically nothing. And had the audacity to make mention of the fact that he had doled out these sums of money to people and they should give him back his money. Nothing has happened. You see, I'm making this point forcefully this morning because if we continue like this, that whole dream about, oh, Ghana will be better, oh, corruption will be, it's a pipe dream. White elephant, when pigs fly, it will not happen. If we can't be fair on such instances and say, you belong to my party, but you've done the wrong thing, you must face the law. This person, if this person contests, then I don't know where this country is going.
I think my submission is to the people. They shouldn't listen to these political players. They're practically gambling with your life. Imagine an encounter with military personnel. They will shoot you. They will beat you. They would just end you. And for what? Because some parliamentary candidate or member of parliament says that you should actually beat them up if they try to obstruct illegal activities. So, well, if you're part of those who are listening to this man, please value your life, because nothing should make you want to stand off against a military personnel simply because you are involved in an illegal activity, which you know the laws originally are, are not in your favor. But this is where we found ourselves, Benjamin. And
I mean, I was horrified when some of these things come up. I always, at the back of my mind, I am hoping that it wasn't so. And then the explanation comes through. I mean, when are we going to get tired of such instances? My own good friend, Professor Kingsley Nyako, had his issue in the last AGSO by-election. I felt really sad about that, but the explanation given, you know, these things happen, like the DCE, like Kingsley Nyako, like this guy, and then some wishy-washy explanation comes. It's as though we were idiots in this country, and everything could be written off with some basic, it's becoming...
But they were captured on tape. All of these people, all of these issues you just raised were all captured on tape, and somehow they are able to deny it. Sometimes it's funny because I don't know what it would take for us to actually start prosecuting people in power. Benjamin, how far with the Ledapa case? How far with Brian Champon and the sale of Snates Hotels? How far with anything really? Corruption related, money laundering related?
I have an interesting one for you.
Activities related.
Do you know
Who has really been prosecuted in this country?
Well, the beachfront at the Labadi Beach Hotel, right?
Yeah.
You know the situation.
Yeah.
The edifice there and everything in between. It actually doesn't, from what we know, belong to the Labadi Beach Hotel. Oh yeah, that's a story on its own about its ownership and even things that we didn't know that. I mean, when this whole SNIT thing came up, this country, the way it's going, and I keep saying, I don't care. I don't care whether it's NDC or NPP. I don't care which entity is in power. But the way it's going, maybe our children will not come and meet Ghana. There will be nothing left. In Numpenukra, boom. Down to the marrow. It's crazy.
Should we get into our papers?
Please, let's do.
Right, let me start with the Daily Guide newspaper. Garmanche calls for unity. Bawumia storms NPP World Bank. These are just banner headlines. Isaac Osei joins running mate race. And Ghana, Brunei discuss Commonwealth bid. Quote, NPP won't rely on EC for victory. And then there's Shirley Ayoko Boche and Hassanal Bokia Ibni Umar Ali in a discussion in her bid to be the Secretary General of Commonwealth. Let's start with a story about Bawumia storming the NPP World Bank. It's on page 3 of the Daily Guide. It reads, political activities in the ruling New Patriotic Party in the Ashanti region, the party's stronghold, would be intensified starting today, Monday, June 10th, 2024. Now, the party's presidential candidate, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, is expected to stay in the region for 3 days in an intensive campaign. As part of his campaign tour, the NPP presidential candidate will take to the streets to engage the public with sole purpose of sharing his vision for the country with the ordinary Ghanaian. Also, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who is noted for being a hard-working politician, will be meeting various organizations and business groups in the region to share his policies. And hopefully, maybe we see some announcement of who he's pairing with for the race come December 2024. And I like the title. Not that I like it, but it's curious. Bawumia storms NPP World Bank. What do you think of it? So the Ashanti region now is the NPP's World Bank.
Well, it's always been the World Bank of the NPP. But you know, this is one of the elections that, as a student of politics, regardless of where we've come, I'm curious about. You know, whenever the NPP falls below, it gets a little under 70% or 70% thereabouts. If it doesn't push really hard, 75, 80%, it starts getting on the ropes because of the voting patterns in Ghana. So, and with some of the stories that have emanated from the Ashanti region, Doomso, bad roads, dissatisfaction with how the region has been treated. And I'm not saying this to say that maybe the NPP has been atrocious or outrageously bad in that region. After all, it's their own stronghold. But the complaints that have come, and this time, mind you, we've heard chiefs, prominent chiefs lambast this government, you wouldn't have seen that in the past. So for me, it's a soft spot for them, but I want to see come election 2024 what the voting patterns would be like, because you can even forget about the eastern and other regions. The north will be fought for. The northern belt will be fought for. Greater Accra is swing. Central region swing. All of these regions are going to be fought for. If the Ashanti region does just a percentage or 2 or 3 of damage to the NPP, it could spell doom. Because mind you, you also have the ARC Alan Chemating effect.
Yeah.
So for me, I don't like to conjecture much. Usually you want to see, but these are things that you can hypothetically forecast that, I mean, there's a lot of work that the NPP, in fact, the region is not theirs to win, it is theirs to lose. Not that they will lose in the votes, but any withdrawals, people not voting, apathy and all of that, could do them immense damage.
For me, it's a question of what are Ghanaians voting for? I must admit that I only really paid critical attention to our political dispensation and activities just a few years back.
Right.
And I've seen how bad the economic situation we find ourselves in. I've seen most Ghanaians coming out to say that the president and the vice president are not doing well. They made some promises. And so if they were able to pull the numbers from the Ashanti region, then what really are Ghanaians voting for? If you say that hardships and economic crisis and high cost of living are plaguing us, and you vote for the vice president who doesn't have the steer, so that he gets the steering wheel and then do what differently? I really am curious.
It's interesting.
I'm a student of politics, and I want to see how this really plays out. Are Ghanaians actually voting for a change or voting for development, or are we just voting because there's I heard some audios of someone say NPP Abuakra nominated to NPP. Yeah. I'll vote for the person. So,
and the NDC too. There are people who say
so what are we voting for?
The point is, yes, you make a strong point. Just last week, we were hard on the cost of living. You're buying pepper now for how much? Pepper. I had to assist someone at the Greater Accra Regional Hospital yesterday, and I hadn't eaten the whole day. Got some fried yam. The pepper, I said, pepper, don't cry. We are rationing pepper because it's so expensive. Pepper. A crate of tomatoes that went for 1,500 cedis is going for 7,000 cedis, an increment of 5,500. It's mad. All of that is there. But at the same time, you have to give people their due.
Right.
Whatever they want to choose, however they want to vote. Look, if people say we want the vice president to become president, maybe you may think differently, someone else may think differently, I may think differently, but in the end, the generality of the people, what we vote for is what will apply, hopefully.
Hopefully.
And then we all stick and stay with the consequences or the benefits of same. So whether people in the Ashanti region will vote this way or that is really up to them. They are the same people who have complained about the cost of living, about this and that. So you remember the splashing of I'm trying to get the constituency. The former majority leader of the NPP, Oseichi Mensah-Bonsu. I'll just get the constituency in mind. His constituency, where some people pelted him with sachet water. I mean, he's done amazingly well there, but it's been a while as well. Things have not gone. I was thinking, saying, my director I think it may be Swami, all right? And everything else. So if you look at the picture, like I said, over the last few years, we've seen things that you wouldn't see in the Ashanti region, that people would not do.
Right.
A chief, prominent chief, and not one, railing against this administration. I've never seen that. But at the same time, like I said, people have the options. And whichever way they choose to go, once it is fairly being reflected, we must stick to it and move ahead, whether benefiting from it or facing the consequences. But mind you, I mentioned apathy.
Yes.
Some people will also show their disappointment because there are those who will tell you, I can't vote for any other party apart from the NPP. But since the NPP has disappointed me, then I will not vote at all. There are others who will say so on the other side as well. In the end, I'll go and express my view. You'll go and express your view. But it's the collective view of Ghanaians that will stand. And whichever way we choose, We damn the consequences and move on.
I want to see how all of this plays out. Just vote with intention. I mean, for whatever it's worth, have an intention behind who you're casting your ballot for. And if you don't vote, you'll be ruled by a president chosen by, for want of a better expression, or that's the actual expression, foolish people, you know.
Yeah, they say if the wise don't vote,
yes,
fools vote for them.
Anyway, so let's get into more stories in the Daily Guide newspaper. Police forward NDC PC docket to AG. Garmancha calls for unity. That story was in our bulletin this morning. Ghana, Brunei discuss Commonwealth bid. NPP won't rely on EC for victory. Isaac Osei joins running mates race. Any of these stories catch your attention, Ben? You want us to get into? Bank of Ghana.
No, you go ahead.
Bank of Ghana on price stability. Patapa no more my husband. Stoneboy sues Baba Sadiq for 3 million Ghana cedis. I wonder what that is about. And APN leads interoperability discussions. Let's talk about Bank of Ghana. This story is on page 9 of the Daily Guide newspaper. The Bank of Ghana has emphasized its commitment to its price stability mandate and the well-being of Ghanaians. Director of Communications at the Bank of Ghana, Bernard Otabil, disclosed this when he explained the cost incurred on the bank's open market operations, which contributed largely to its loss in the audited 2023 financial statement. The recently released annual report and financial statements of the bank indicated a cost of 8.3 billion Ghana cedis on open market operations, causing an overall loss of 10.5 billion Ghana cedis for the 2023 financial year. Now, according to Mr. Otabil, central banks worked for national welfare and not profits, and therefore the loss had nothing to do with a loss of policy effectiveness, adding that the central bank stood committed to deploy monetary policy tools to maintain a stable inflation in tandem with its primary price stability objective. Is it reflecting in our pockets? All these policy frameworks, this working on price stability, this pumping in money to stabilize our CD, this, all of it, is it really reflecting in our pockets, or does it just stay here in these newspapers and on statistics, Benjamin?
I'll throw that question back to you. How do you feel it?
I don't feel good.
So technically, and that's the thing, that's the difference between macro and microeconomics. Technically, there are some benefits. I mean, I've heard some people suggest that if it were not for the cushions that we were getting from the IMF and other bits that we are benefiting from, our CD, for example, could have been maybe 20 plus to some of the currencies that are. We are knocking on the door of 20 for the Great British Pound, by the way. But sometimes I look at it as well and say, are we celebrating mediocrity, or are we actually making the boons that we want to make? It's a convoluted situation, but for me, like you're asking, the ordinary kwesi, ama, ajwa, ya, kwabana, and the rest, right? What are the benefits you are seeing from these? Are you feeling the benefits in your pocket, in your day-to-day life? Those are the questions we ought to ask. You go to the market and how much is pepper? How much are, some of these other bits? So, I don't know.
There was an argument that this man you interviewed, your last AM exclusive, please remind me.
Is it Peter McMahon?
Peter McMahon, the chairman of the New Patriotic Party.
Former chairman.
And he was saying that on the international front, we are not doing bad at all. And he cited a number of things like Electoral Commission. It's the best he'd seen so far. I think, not him specifically, but someone else I heard talk about press freedom, talk about inflation, talk about even our leadership and government. And Ghana is not doing bad at all. So that brings to mind the question, are we the target audience of these political activities, these policy frameworks?
Or maybe the politicians are tickling themselves and laughing.
I think that their target is on the international front. They don't care about the individuals. They care about how they look outside the borders of the country. But let's bring in...
She's brought herself in.
Yes, she's brought herself in. So I'm
International. Good morning. Sorry for being late. Good morning. There's a lot of everything this morning.
You look very colorful. I like that.
You also look colorful.
Thank you.
They say good morning to your viewers. Good morning to everybody. They say, which international front is that?
All of it.
That's what?
That Ghana is not doing so bad.
In what terms?
Well, specifically,
When
you said the
you
EC
see,
is
I
the
have
best so far.
EC.
We've moved from tot. Is that what he said? The time where you couldn't do this level elections in one day. You had to do it in badges.
What has that got to do with bread and butter? Yes, I went to a funeral. The CPP Koforidua, like Eastern Region women's organizer died. Naomi, etc. And I went for the funeral. When I was coming, I said, "Oh, because of my busy schedule, let me do some shopping along the ridge." My dear, Kontomre, 3. 20.
Where are you talking about?
I went to Koforidua, so as I was coming.
Koforidua?
Yes.
So even Koforidua, which is a bit...
I am telling you, as I was coming, even not in the Koforidua township itself, like on the ridge there, so coming down Manfe, Abri, we asked, Kontomre 3.
Wait, when you say 3,
like the bundle 3.
Bundle.
20 Ghana cedis.
3 for 20.
Yes, can you imagine?
5 cities also.
5 cities is too expensive. Last year, how much was Kontomre?
But you go to market now and they are giving you 1 tomato for 5 cedis.
Yes. And you are talking about international.
But you know what
Utia, if you are lucky, they give you maybe...
We were rated, one of the best performing countries. These global or international rating agencies keep rating us, and I don't know how they get the figures, because I'm here in this country, and I'm wondering, are they real?
These same figures are sourced from Ghana, some of our own records. Don't you forget that. And sometimes they do some additional work too. So what we feed them is what they end up.
Yes, they don't do their own research. They don't spend money to do their own research. What's international? Our elections in 2020 was announced 5 times. The election results are not gazetted. It is not on their website. How can you come and tell us that EC is rated the best? Because maybe EC is doing their bidding. So if EC is doing their bidding, certainly in their eyes, EC will be rated.
But Nanaya, has the EC fared that badly in your books? I mean, there are those who would say that, to be fair, they may not, in my books, they may not be the best, but are they the worst?
Why do they always compare the current EC to Afarijan's EC? Everybody speaks and they are comparing the current EC to Afarijan. Afarijan was like one of the best in terms of all the problems.
Afarijan was celebrated globally, not just in Africa.
That's what I'm saying.
And he handled some immensely, events that would give you palpitations. And he oversaw elections being won by the NPP.
Yes, being won
by the NDC, the NPP,
and look at how,
and then the NDC. Yes. I mean, Afarijan is in a different league.
I will not forget about 2008, when there was a complete stalemate.
Yeah, I was just about to mention 2008.
Let's use time to determine who has won.
Yeah.
Do you get me? So Afarijan, surpasses all. And this is what is happening. You do elections, registration in the district offices. We are having issues. First day of registration, a lot of issues, network issues, logistical issues. How can you say that they are the best? They are doing their best, but you can't say that globally they have been adjudged one of the best. In what way? It's just that Ghanaians are very tolerant people.
Let's get into more stories from the newspaper.
I hear you.
And then we can come for your reaction. Failed coup plotters go on trial in DR Congo. That's a trial of 51 individuals, including 3 Americans, accused of attempting to overthrow the president of the Democratic Republic of Congo last month, has begun. The hearing is being broadcast live on national TV and radio in the capital, Kinshasa. Right. Ghana-Brunei discuss Commonwealth bid. Ghana's Minister for Foreign Affairs, Sheila Yoko-Botry, has met with the Sultan Brunei Hassan al-Bolkiah III to discuss ways to strengthen bilateral cooperation and renew the Commonwealth. The meeting took place in the Istana Nurul Iman Palace in Brunei's capital, Bandar Seri Begawan. Both the Sultan and Mrs. Botry expressed a firm commitment to enhancing cooperation across multiple sectors and reiterated their shared values and mutual interest. Because we're just talking about EC, let me quickly put this story in. NPP won't rely on EC for victory. The General Secretary of the ruling New Patriotic Party, Justin Kodia-Frimpong, has stated that the party will not rely on the Electoral Commission or the police to secure victory in the upcoming elections. According to him, the NPP is confident that its systems established compelling campaign messages that will help the party to win the December 7 elections. Recently, the NDC flag bearer ex-President John Mahama accused the EC of colluding with the NPP to manipulate the 2024 elections. Do we have more reactions on that, or should I just finish this paper and then we can... I've done most of the headlines.
I've shared my reactions,
that's
so unless Nanaya...
But the point is that NPP is saying their messages. What about the current economic state? Their messages will win them their election. So yes. the current economic
carefully crafted.
No, but the current economic state will do what for them? Why are they ignoring the current economic state in which we are? Where $1 to CD when you are buying is 16.85? Why?
Where a liter of fuel is inching towards 15. In fact, if you're buying, the accelerated, or is it the Run 95s and the V-Powers, you are hitting almost 16.
No, don't do liter. If you do liter, it's beautiful. Do gallon and get the real cost, because what goes into my car is the 4.5, which makes a gallon, and one is 68 cedis. In 2017, one was 14 cedis. How many years down the line? Look at the difference. Even that time, they said it was too expensive. Now, 68, they are not saying anything. They are ignoring the economic situation we find ourselves, and they are talking about their messages. Can you imagine this?
The dollar was what, 3.75?
3.75 to the CD, and now it's 16. Ding dong and up and down. You can't even plan.
Russia-Ukraine war.
What Russia-Ukraine? Even
COVID-19.
What COVID-19?
There are a number of factors that.
Sweetheart, if COVID-19 helped any country, it's Ghana. We got money out of COVID-19.
21 billion Ghana.
Yes, to support our budget.
21 billion.
Billion to support our budget. So which COVID-19 is this?
Well. Then you find that. Then we'll come to you.
And if I may add, we're still being charged the COVID-19 levy. So
I don't understand that one.
Restaurants and buy what?
Is it only restaurants?
You have a law at all?
You are talking about restaurant. Go to just a shop to buy. You have a tall receipt of taxes.
Anyway, then you find a newspaper now. Ashanti Ga Unity Elevated. Otumfo donates 500,000 Ghana cedis during historic visit to Ga Manche. NHIA scraps registration and renewal fees for SNIT contributors. President touts planting of 52 million trees in 4 years. Chamber of Mines warns of escalating costs in Ghana's gold production. Let's start from page 4. NHIA scraps registration and renewal fees. Excuse me. In a transformative move, the National Health Insurance Authority has announced the elimination of registration and renewal fees for National Health Insurance Scheme subscribers who are also contributors to the Social and National Insurance Trust. Chief Executive Officer Dr. Dacosta Boaji disclosed this during a recent interaction with media personnel. He said the integration of the NHIS with SNIT and NIA has enabled the scrapping of these charges, which have been seen as obstacles to enrolling on the NHIS. Dr. Dacosta Boaji explained that the fees constituted less schemes revenues, at less than 3% of the scheme's revenues, and the removal would not adversely affect the financial health of the NHIS. I must say that Dr. Dacosta Boaji has been in the news a lot recently on activities of the NHIA. There was the dialysis issue, the kidney issue, and then now scrapping registration and renewal fees for SNIT contributors. I don't know about you, but I think this is good.
I mean, I don't understand what it means.
It means that if you want to renew your...
So how much is it?
Well, it's less than 3% of what it makes.
No, I'm saying in actual terms. How much do I pay to renew?
I think it's 8 CDs for renewal. So yeah, the elimination of 8 Ghana cedis.
And how much is it?
Is expected to remove a financial burden from subscribers.
8 cedis. And how much is it?
Maybe you have 8 CDs. No, there are people in some villages because of 8 CDs.
Those in the villages, they are not on pension or on SNIT. Most of them are farmers, and we need to rake all of them in. We need to have an agricultural pension scheme for the farmers so that when they grow old, they can't go on the farm anymore. They have something to rely on. Besides, this pension thing, we should really look into it. It belongs to us. It doesn't belong to government. Going forward, we shouldn't allow government to even appoint the CEOs and the board members so they sit there and do what they like. Look at how they are going to sell the hotels. How are they investing our money? They should tell us this is not anything, ACDs and so what. People cannot buy
and these
tomatoes.
Are proposals people have made.
Yes.
That, when it comes to, and I totally agree. I keep referencing what Dr. Arthur Kennedy, Kobina Arthur Kennedy said here. Two things, that when he interacted with current President Akufo-Addo back then, the president had said, the Ghanaian presidency is too powerful. When I come, I want to da-da-da.
Yes.
Look at what he's doing now.
He's more
and some other bits about not wanting to handpick a leader. That's another affair, because as for the Dr. Bawumia issue, we'll leave that out. But all I am saying is we really, as a country, once you have one person who can make so many appointments, who has so much power, you know what the aphorism by Lord Acton says, power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. Sometimes it's not about the person being bad, but the person having too much access.
Yes.
And with that access, people come to you. Sometimes it's not, you see, bribery and corruption, they go two ways. Yeah. It's the receiver and the taker. Yeah. Sometimes it is the taker who will come to you. And you know what they say, opportunity makes the thief. And then these things happen. Until we do that and we have politically inclined people heading all of these institutions, we're going to face problems. Yeah. People had to scream recently before this third person going to be a deputy at STC. People had to scream about this SNIT bill. I mean, at what point? And all these things tell you that if there was no scream, it would just go through, and that's it.
So keep screaming, Ghanaians, fellow Ghanaians, keep screaming. Let me rush through some quick headlines, and then we go to the Ghanaian Times. Second Lady launches Africa Students for Climate Action Initiative. Members of Diplomatic Corps plant trees to mark Green Ghana Day. Something great is happening in Ghana's education system, according to Dr. Educhum. Bridging Digital Divide, Resilience of Satellite TV in the Age of Digital Media. On the back page, or the last page, Rosie Yeboah qualifies for Paris Olympics. Otuado justifies defensive strategy against Mali. Army ladies crowned champions of 2023-2024 Women's FA Cup. Azakas ladies beat Ampem Dakwa ladies to win 5th Premier League title. And Home Municipal Assembly to establish football club. These and many stories in the New Finder newspaper. Pick one for yourself and get into the stories. What paper do you have and what does it say?
You put the Ghanaian Times in front of me. I used to work there. Okay. The first page, it talks about Sustain Ghana Green Projects. The gains. President urges us. Then the Utu Senior East Constituency and DCPC granted bail over alleged gun possession without authority. We cannot.
Should we get into that?
Yes, I mean, sad for me. I thought one of you speak on that, but for me, we need to encourage women. I mean, no matter what it is, we need to know how we deal with women. I don't know whether her license or her gun was licensed or not.
You're talking of Phyllis?
Yes.
Well, from what we've seen, apparently there was some technicality about the spelling of her name. But from the documentation we've seen, the licensing of the gun and the other details, matching her Ghana card details, the name is the same. And pump action gun, the claim is that she didn't even discharge the gun. Unlike in another instance, I don't want to mention names, where someone actually used the gun. You see, and that also keeps creating, I keep saying that let's not make this country, even our football has become NDC side, NPP side. And that is why we lost in 2014. We had one of the best teams in the World Cup. The only team that could draw with Germany, the eventual winners.
Yes.
Right? We've made everything
political.
It must be that, look, it doesn't matter who you are. Look at the US, Hunter Biden, Joe Biden's son.
Yes,
look at what is going on.
Facing charges.
The law, it doesn't matter who the heck you are.
Even Trump, the almighty Trump.
It doesn't matter. You will go through. Now, Trump first American president to have been convicted for a felony.
33 charges.
They really don't care.
They don't care.
But here, everything must be viewed through political lenses. So this person stands here, so we can treat the person with kid gloves.
Yeah.
Me, when I say it, I don't know, but I keep saying that the way we are going, we will make no headway. If anything, we will retrogress as a country.
Because we need to encourage women to be there. I saw the lady on TV. I was watching one of your sister stations, and she was visibly shaking. Yes, I commend the chairman, Nese Dunketia, for going there, but the lady was visibly shaking. And me, I've been there before, so when I see that, if you are not careful, you no longer be strong. Even men get there and they come back and they are not strong anymore. So I think that we should try and minimize some of the things we do to our women. I remember when I was in PRC and I went through everything. My uncle has a friend, a minister in Burkina. He said that you don't treat women like that. And I will reiterate that you don't treat women like that. You need women to be part of the political dispensation. If another woman sees it, she will not go close. The husband will even tell her, don't go there. The family will tell her, don't go there. But it's possible this woman has the capacity, whoever it is, to also be part of the political dispensation.
Anaya, I agree with you, and I've said this many times. But again, I'll also reiterate, the law is the law.
No, but
the law, just saying that the law applies as it should apply. My problem is in Ghana, it is selective justice.
That is what I'm saying.
If the law applies fairly, it really doesn't matter whether you have done the wrong thing or I have erred. The law should be the law. But I do agree that in some instances, for example, the physical handling and other things of a woman, what you may do with a man, I don't think you can necessarily do with a woman. Those are the instances where I see
questions that you see if your gun is licensed.
That is.
And you even expend bullets, I don't know, but once it is licensed, it's not some gun that was taken from anywhere. The reason why these guns are licensed is because we would know who used it for what.
At the end of the year, you must account.
You must account
so you had maybe 10 rounds of ammunition. You have used 3 rounds. How did you use them? When did you? There's a log. You must actually follow processes.
That's a friend of mine, a policeman, told me that my head is too hot. So if I'm not careful, I might expend it at a moment that I shouldn't. So the best thing is not to even take it at all.
Yeah.
But I always think that as a politician, you need, because nobody is protecting you. You go and come, you are in the middle of everybody. Nobody is protecting you. I was in Makola once.
That we are anticipating the violence.
No. You see, if you are attacked, I was in Makola one day and one of my cousins works, I won't mention the name. She actually called me to leave. She said, Nana, as you are there right now, a mob of people who are like the NPP in there, let me say people who don't like you, are gathering to beat you up. So move out of that area right now. And for the first time, that was the first day I took my phone with me into the market. Because I want to be normal. I don't want to. And she said, move out of that place right now.
So something could have happened to you. And I mean, and why I asked, why did she even carry this there? You know, the optics sometimes. But a gun, you remember Benjilo?
Yeah, Benjilo, yes.
You remember Benjilo?
I remember Benjilo.
Sometimes, especially, you see, the way we are, it's best not to even
carry
such things. Because in a moment of
and that musician,
madness.
What is his
Stoneboy. You remember Stoneboy when
apart from Stoneboy, the one who was G-Man.
Yeah, Benjilo and G-Man.
G-Man, the two
around
of them.
The same.
Yeah.
So
this is what I think.
It's tricky.
I think because you were talking about the law doesn't care who you are in other places like America and the references you made, I think their democracy, or the kind of democracy they practice, is far advanced than what we are doing. And so it takes the screaming, it takes us talking about it, it takes exposing all these malpractices to actually refine what, it is not ours. We borrowed this thing called democracy.
But here's where
I think that, through this, in about 50 years to come, we won't be as experienced.
Unfortunately, we don't have 50 years. You see, that's the problem.
But
we don't have 50
our
years.
work starts now.
We can't continue. If we continue with this nonsense, in 50 years' time, probably Ghana may cease to exist. God forbid. But I'm being very fair. You see, you don't reinvent the wheel. Our democracy doesn't make sense. We do too many things that are, I'm sorry, nonsense
Confuse
throughout this
it.
Fourth Republic, okay? And intentionally, the politicians who know better, some of these politicians are Ivy League trained, Oxbridge trained, Oxford and Cambridge. They know, they've been out there, they travel, they know exactly what applies. Why don't they, when they travel to Dubai, the United Arab Emirates, some of the nonsense they do there, why here? Why don't they do it there? You can't do it there.
Yeah.
There are some, Malaysia, Singapore, there are things they do here. You can't, you dare not do it there. So when you go and you see, I can't say you see certain things, and then you know that this thing is good. You come and you know how to apply. It may not happen overnight, but here we are not even seeing the application. You have a Cecilia Dapa issue, and someone who has been touted as a lawyer for human rights and the rest, rights, and I'm sure your integrity will. From the top, at that moment, right from there, people say that is when the case was over.
Yeah.
So I don't get it. It's not about, it doesn't take so much. There are things we can do,
but you see,
but we are not doing it.
I mean, specifically to this lady,
not doing them.
who gave her the gun? And when they were giving her the gun, what did she tell them she was going to use the gun for? Somebody licensed it for her. When you go abroad and you are giving guns, there are some guns for hunting.
True.
Do you get me?
True.
I mean, seriously, not for protection because the police is there. But there are some guns for hunting, guns for so many things. They have some games that they do and they use these guns. So when she was given the gun, guns are not sold on the market.
No.
There's a specific place where guns are sold.
And you see, this was not an illegitimate
gun. Yes.
It
so
was a legitimate piece.
so
if it were illegitimate, her case would be
different.
You know, ab initio.
That one nobody can talk about.
She legally registered it.
Yes.
The firearm has not been discharged.
It has not been discharged, so why are you taking it? They should make sure they don't discourage women. Because we need women in the fray.
Anyway, we have to go. I just want to do some headlines, and then I'll leave you with one story, something we've discussed already.
Okay.
Daily Graphics, SNIT contributors gain automatic NHIS migration. Dr. Dacosta Abuaji spoke about it here in our interaction. Nation records first Wilson's disease at Kolebu Teaching Hospital, page 13.
Which one is that?
Historic, I'll get into that briefly. Historic royal visit, Gamanche, Asantehene, deepened bond. We've spoken a lot about it this morning, even in the news. So I'll just skip that, and it's a good thing. The Asantehene donating some 500,000 Ghana cedis. Was it an educational fund or something of the sort?
The Greater Accra Educational Trust Fund.
But on what you were asking, the Child Health Department of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital has recorded a rare case of Wilson's disease in a 13-year-old boy. The condition, believed to be the first in the country, is said to affect 1 out of 30,000 population in developed countries. The boy was diagnosed with a fatal genetic disease after his mother, a trader, detected his deteriorating handwriting. Now, the head neurodevelopmental clinic, Department of Child Health, Kolebu Teaching Hospital, Professor Ebenezer Bedu, who made the diagnosis after several tests, however, said the disease was treatable. He said the young boy could live a normal life through medication, but was concerned about the cost involved, saying the patient needed 450 Ghana cedis every month to stay alive. In other words, someone like this, and this is where sometimes big corp in Ghana and others, can you pay maybe for 10 years for this boy or something? 450 cedis. It reminds me of those on dialysis.
Yeah. But theirs is more expensive. Theirs is a week or
But you see, this person, the mother is a what? A trader. A trader.
Okay. This is what the NHI is.
450 cedis. Thankfully, it's just one case that we know of now.
But it's a genetic thing, so it's not something that is viral.
I guess it's one of those neuro issues. But just in a minute, we have to go, Nanaya.
Yes.
It is official, the Daily Searchlight. Soldiers ordered to arrest, not to arrest for Galamsey, beat them if they stop you. The NPP parliamentary candidate.
Soldiers not to what?
You remember the Amenfi East NPP parliamentary candidate saying that, you know, if soldiers attack, you know, beat them up and all of that. For me, I will keep saying this. It's only in Ghana that someone like this will still go through and contest the elections. 30 seconds, final thoughts, and we're done.
I don't even know what to say. Seriously, what is going on in this country? I mean, some of these people, they just talk.
And we have the instance of Major Mahama.
Who is?
Do you realize it?
Yeah.
That is how bad it is. We have the example of Major Mahama.
They are not talking about, I've heard that in the Galamsey areas, the children they are giving birth to are losing their limbs. Even dogs, you have strange, when dogs give birth, they give birth to puppies with 2 heads and all manner of strange things. Deformities, because of the galamsey.
Yeah.
And nobody is saying anything about it. Now,
and as Frimpong says, you know, if soldiers can beat them up.
Beat them up.
Yeah.
Because that is where they are making their money.
Hooray for the fight against galamsey. Anyway, we're going to have to end it here. Nanaya, yeah, that's a bit brave.
Ghana, they are some more. No, you see, I've said it to Ghana, we should vote against them. We should vote against these people. No, sure, because if we leave, today the Uber, let me feel the Uber driver I came with, because my driver was late. The Uber driver I came with, he said, Madam, if we leave this country for these people, dear, we are selling our children into slavery.
Oh.
Of course we are. Are we not selling our children into slavery? We are selling our children into slavery, posterity. Because the way these people are managing this country, you see, when I am talking like this, they insult me, but I don't care because I say it against the backdrop or the background of the kind of promises they made to us. And they have reneged on all the promises. When you talk, they say...
Time will be the judge of all of this. Nanaya Achepim Jantua is a former PRO of the PURC. Of course, I did this together with Sweetie Abochi, Red Riding Hood, for this morning. But Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic helps us bring you this segment every weekday. And they are still offering you prostate screening for free if you're a man, fertility screening for free if you're a woman. Their branches here in Accra at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard, Kumasi, Kronomaboy here behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takrady Energy State, Tema, Community 22, Techiman Hanswe and Siamanzima. You can reach them on 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. And Point Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. But well, up next we serve you sports. There's a lot of action coming your way. My favorite part of the weekend in sports, Carlos Alcaraz Harfia winning the Roland Garros title. And that was my highlight over the weekend. But there's more in sports. Do stay.
Good morning and welcome to the sports segment on the AM show. My name is Haruna Mubarak. We start with World Cup qualifiers where Ghana could go top of Group I with a big win over the Central African Republic today. The Black Stars have 6 points from 3 games and find themselves behind Madagascar and Comoros, who lead on goal difference. Now, Ghana coach Otto Addo is expecting a difficult encounter tonight, but is confident his players will give their all. Achu Tamaklo has more in this report.
So Black Stars coach Otto Addo and midfielder Mohamed Kudus have just met the press as is mandatory before these games. The crux of today's message from the pair is that beyond the importance of this match, they do appreciate the significance, or should I say the socio-economic significance of the World Cup 2026 to the people of Ghana. And they are doing everything in their power to ensure that the team qualified.
I mean, sure. I mean, every player wants to go to the World Cup no matter where it is. I don't know, maybe Jamil should know that there's a lot of job opportunities in Qatar as well. But surely we definitely want to go there. I mean, everybody wants to go there.
Coach Otto Addo also spoke in glowing terms of the Central African Republic and the unique threats that they could pose to the team. And he says the Stars will be ready come tomorrow.
Yeah, one thing is for sure, I think it's going to be very, very difficult for everyone who thinks that we can just play them like that. I don't think it will happen. If it's happening, I take it, sure, but it's very, very difficult to beat them. We analyze them well. They are doing well, especially in their offensive transitions. Always dangerous. They played 1-1 against Mali. So we know what we have to expect. Despite the win, we can't relax now.
Our midfielder Mohamed Kudus was one of the players who was criticized for his performance in Thursday's 2-1 win over Mali. He is well aware of the weight of expectations on him and particularly his significance to this team, and says he's ready for the task.
In every game, whether
Ghana, Europe, everywhere, my motivation and my approach is the same, which is to help the team win. And yes, with being one of the names they look out for in most of the games, everyone is quite important in the squad, whether on the bench or whatsoever. Like you saw against Mali, it's the guys from the bench that came to win the game. So everyone deserves the same respect and then motivation just as us. So we are all a team, it's the point that matters, whether I score anyone or however I perform, the most important thing is that the team wins and then we keep improving as players.
So we've just seen the Black Stars of Ghana go through their paces for the final time ahead of tomorrow's World Cup qualifier against the Central African Republic. Every member of the team trained here today, even though a few of them picked up knocks in the days prior to today. Coach Otuado and midfielder Mohamed Kudus both spoke about the significance of this game and the fact that they are aware of the socio-economic significance of this game to the people of Ghana. And not just this game, but the entirety of the qualifiers for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. And so they say they are ready to put in a show for Ghanaians and do their best to qualify Ghana for the World Cup in the United States of America, of course Canada and Mexico. From the Bawumia Sports Stadium, Victor Achutana for Joy Sports.
Now, Ghana secured a 2-1 win over the Central African Republic in the last meeting between the two sides. But the visitors believe they could pull off a surprise this time around at the Bawumia Sports Stadium. Daniel Quarantine has the rest of the story.
You think I will come here and cry and say, oh, tomorrow, my God, my goodness, and so on? No.
Central African Republic head coach Raul Savoy was his usual witty self ahead of his side's FIFA World Cup qualifier against Ghana's Black Stars on Monday. Last time he was here, he predicted Ghana to be knocked out of the AFCON at the group stages, and sadly for Ghana, he was right.
Oh, I said that if you play the way you play against us, the AFCON will be tough. And I was right, or not? I was right or not? Thank you.
He, however, expects a much better Black Star side in Monday's game.
Same players, another coach, other story. I was talking about the AFCON qualifiers. And now World Cup is another story. And, in football, I will say 7-8 months is a long, long time. Otto arrived on early this year. They did 2 games in March during the FIFA break. And we play also 2 games in Sri Lanka. Then stories are different. But the players will be at least the same in the two teams. So for us, it will be a revenge. And maybe for the Ghanaian, I don't know. I will see tomorrow. We will see tomorrow.
Regardless, Savoy maintains he's confident his side can upset the Black Stars.
I think I'm confident because if I'm not, who will be confident? So you think I will come here and cry and say, oh, tomorrow, my God, my goodness, and so on. No, I'm confident, but humble. And I just want to tell you guys that just wait and see how the game will be tomorrow. But I'm confident because if I'm not,
he's not the only one feeling good ahead of the game. Central African Republic students based in Accra have traveled all the way to watch their team hopefully stand Ghana.
Sure, we are here for revenge, and that one we know it's going to be a tough game for sure. We are playing home and we are away, but we need to win so that we can go for the World Cup, the first one in our history.
Oh, don't worry, we saw you because we have a very big condition that you score you. That's all.
I'm thinking that it will be like a close game like last time, but tomorrow we are going to make history. We will be the first team to beat Ghana at home.
Oh yes.
Inside the Bawumia Stadium.
Oh yes, oh yes.
We are here to make history.
Oh yes.
Central African Republic team, we are ready.
Hopefully for Ghana's sake, Central African Republic's wishes do not come true. From Kumasi for Joy Sports, Daniel Quarantine.
In the Ghana Premier League, Hearts of Oak are in 14th position, just a point above the relegation zone following a goalless draw with Great Olympics. The Phobians must now win their last match against Bechem United to guarantee survival. Elsewhere, Royal Tamale United have joined Bofoakatano as clubs that have been relegated after suffering a 2-0 defeat to Asante Kotoko. Highlights for you.
Fans will appreciate it, Idris.
Brings it to the near side, and then it's a long floating ball towards the far end. Chance for Real Tamale United. Forward. Baba gets in the thick of affairs. Here's Zeze. Pass was a bit too tight, but Kotoko still have the advantage. Now a shot is delivered from afar, and there should be the rebound. Oh! Initial effort from Menu. Lukman Sharif, ball bounced off him. Wonderful shot. And Kaleno looking for the drive. Lays on the pass. Babayaya through the middle. Zeze! Complete miss himself and then laid on the pass. Baba opened up the game. And then Zeze, all he had to do was to Kotoko. And that was when they traveled to Takwa to take on Mediama Sporting Club. Morrison coasting forward. Lays on the pass into the middle, and this time he gets it right. The effort has been coming from Peter Amidu Aqua. And Kotoko are 1 goal up. The last game would only be a ceremonial one, for relegation is confirmed. This time, Bernard gets it right. He's also struggled together with a man who says congratulations. Peter Aqua, this came on, also enjoyed a big part of it. Menu with a lot of support.
In the Women's Premier League, Hazakes ladies secured their 5th title with a win over Ampem Dakwan ladies. Veronica Kuma and Abdullah Mukarama scored in the first half, and despite Sewa Amponsen's goal in the second half, it wasn't enough to change the outcome of the game.
The long throw is swung in. A shot on target, and that gives Hazakes ladies the lead here. Else would it be? Veronica Bakuma puts Hazakes ladies in the lead here. Hazakes, the two girls, they've done what is needed. Fidaus with the corner kick. Not the best, not her trait. And she has the chance to make amends. She sends it in. Another chance, and it's on target. 2 goals for Hazakes ladies. Look at the name again, Mukarama Abdullah.
They keep on pushing, probing, asking to see if there will be a chance or seconds for them to reduce their deficit, but the two ladies are not taking chances at all. Miscommunication
here for Dakwan ladies, and they celebrate with her teammates. And there they go. Hazakes ladies are the champions. Grace Banwa can afford to smile. Champion of Ghana, champions of women's football. Hazakes ladies, winners of the Malta-Ghanaians Women's Premier League for 2023-2024 season.
Now, still with women's football, Army ladies won their first ever FA Cup title with a 1-0 win over Police ladies. Deborah Opoku sealed the win with a decisive goal in the 50th minute, marking a historic moment for the club.
Have in the country are going to come. That this is also of the women's FA. Adama Hassan with this free kick. Adama, it's on target. Great save. Army ladies get the first goal. Army ladies get the most important goal, and they celebrate with a famous, with intent, and with her striking instinct so much intact. just have to tap it in and give Army ladies the most important lead here at the University of Ghana Sports Stadium. Comes the captain to lift the first ever Women's FA Cup title for Women's FA Cup for the season 2023-2024. Army ladies are the winners. They came.
I'll not say I'm proud, as our head coach placed the tactical plan down for us to use whilst he was away in camp. It worked well for us. We understand each other and we played very well.
I mean, yesterday police had mentioned that their game is in the first 20 minutes of action. Having survived the first 20 minutes, was that a point where you knew Army ladies were going to win the day?
Actually, when you are playing against your opponent, you need to find loopholes in their game. And we realized that they are very swift in the first 15 minutes. So we tried to contain them in the first 15 minutes. After that, we took our chances. We realized that when we put a ball down, when we play, we'll find loopholes behind their back line. And there were a lot of spaces within them. So that's how we won.
Welcome back on the AM show. Red Riding Hood, and I'm not going to let go of you today. But it's time for our big stories. Would you like to let us know what exactly we're doing?
Well, the Vice President is in the World Bank of the NPP.
The Ashanti region.
Yes, we just want to understand what this means for his political aspirations, whether he's going to nominate or announce a running mate.
Right.
And, I mean, all the other issues that are coming up. But stick with us. I mean, the New Patriotic Party's bid to break the AIDS is intensifying as Dr. Bawumia's campaign train hits the Ashanti region. And we have a host of political analysts who are joining us soon to get into the nitty-gritties of what this means. Benjamin.
Well, indeed, we do. We first have Professor Kobi Mensah. Of course, we all know him. He is with the University of Ghana Business School. We also have Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. He's a political scientist and director of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana. We have Dr. John Osai Kwapong, a CDD fellow. And we also have Dr. Richard Amwakon Ba, himself a political scientist and a man who speaks his mind. All of them join us this morning on the conversation. But before I usher them in, let's take a look at some of the people whose faces have become prominent, whom we've been talking about. Let's take a look at some of these people, and then we shall come back to our guests. Quite a number of names have been thrown around. Which ones have, stood out for you?
Napo.
The energy minister.
I really want...
Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh.
Yeah. He's had some bad press,
Some bad press?
Some bad press? Some bad press. On the back
of... He's had bad press since he was education minister back then, even before switching to energy for Yao Osei Duchum to become the deputy and all of that. But, of course, he's one of those...
particularly this year...
At the forefront.
Yes. On the energy issues that we were having. And some of the utterances he made got Ghanaians really angry.
Yeah.
So I want to see how they play this out. His name is curious.
Calling people evil and all of that. But so look at them. One is the Vice Chancellor of the KNUST. And, the NDC has a woman candidate, Professor... Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, or Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman. Now, she is 54 years, her hometown, Asante Mampong. And the focus here is on the Ashanti region. So Asante Mampong. And her profession, she's a pharmacist, and I think she's the first female vice chancellor, right?
Yes.
Of the KNUST, Professor Rita Akosua Dixon. People have brought up her name, especially in rooting for a woman to be the running mate. But then we also have... the lawyer, Dr. Henry Kwabena Kokofu. He is the special envoy on climate issues. He is 64 years, and let's pay attention to the age as well. 64, his hometown, Adiabeba in Kumasi. So those are the first two. Now, more women coming up. Some interesting names. Eshilowusu Ekufu, Minister for Communication. She's 59, hometown at Chamodan. She's a lawyer. Of course, she's also Minister for Communications and Digitalization. Then there is Irina Toshi Ado-Latte. Recently, I saw her with the Vice President. I don't know whether it was World Menstrual Hygiene Day or something of the sort. She's administrator for the District Assembly Common Fund. She's 54, and her hometown is Osu, Accra. She's one of the odd ones out in terms of where she's from. And some are saying, let's go Ashanti region. But she's from right here in the Greater Accra region. She's a lawyer as well. Let's check out some others, sweetie.
Well, we also have Apostle Professor Opoku Onyina, who is the former chairman of the Church of Pentecost. He's 69 years old, and he comes from Eduman. That's also in the Ashanti region. And his profession, he's a theologian. I don't know what his unique selling propositions are, but he's also there. And we also have Akosua Frima Osei Opari, of course, a very popular one in there, the Chief of Staff at the Office of the President. She's 77 years old. I think that's the oldest I've seen so far.
Yeah, I think so.
And
77.
for a woman, yeah.
She's 3 years away from Mr. President.
Yes, and she's from Womase. Womase, and she's a lecturer.
Viemwase.
Okay, beg your pardon. And she's a lecturer. I think the women on this list will give the NDC a close marking because of the background of Professor Jenan Opoku-Agyeman.
Right.
But let's see some more names, yeah.
So let's check out some more.
Then
we have the men coming through. Want to take them?
Yeah, so we also have Dr. Yao Osei-Duchum, the Minister for Education. He's 60 years old, and he comes from Jachi. And he's an educationist, of course. Jachi. And then we have Napo. I like to think he's a popular one among... His name has been touted or, leaked out there.
Napo has been, it's been mentioned time and again.
That's Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh, the Minister for Energy, and he's 56 years old, okay. And he's a medical doctor, and he comes from Pache number 2.
So there you have it. Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh in the Pache number 2, where he's from, 56 years, and then his former deputy, now Minister for Education, 60 years. Who gets the nod? Or maybe there would be a situation of matricule and someone completely different could get the nod. We don't know, but we're going to interact with our guests and find out what they think. Now, Professor Kobe Mensah is a political marketer as well. So when it comes to these issues, he's well versed in what this means. Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, like I've mentioned, political scientist, director of the Center for European Studies, and Dr. Richard Amwakuban, a political scientist, a man who speaks his mind. Gentlemen, good morning.
And good morning, Suti. And good morning to my friend, Kobe Mensah. Kobe, good to see you.
Good to see you.
And good morning to Dr. Amwakuban.
All right. So it's going to be a very intellectual conversation this morning, but I can't help it because this was being mentioned. I know maybe for the sake of academia, you've heard of that. I think it is two diametrically opposed matters, but that citizen who is in the Netherlands who says a Dutch passport is worth more than a PhD. I don't know what you gentlemen think. If you have any thoughts, if you don't, we can just move on. Any thoughts on that right before we get into the main matter? Since you are academics, Professor Kobe Mensah.
I think I would defer to
Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante.
I've made a lot of it, so maybe Asa, what do you think?
But you've not done that here.
I just want to forget about him. Let's move on.
You don't think he's worth your time, right?
No. At all.
Sweetie, I have said that, a PhD, why someone would get a PhD versus you're going to search for money are they are not necessarily people don't get PhDs simply because they want money.
Yeah.
You know, so I find that whole argument.
That there is a misconception. They think you want to make money, and so you want a higher education, and so you go and get your doctorate. But I think these are just learned people who have a craving, a deep yearning for more knowledge.
Yeah.
It's not about the money.
Yeah.
So, like, I agree with Professor Dr. Bawumia Asante. He's not worth their time. But let's proceed.
Anyway, so Doc, I'll start with you this time, Dr. Bawumia Asante. You look at the Vice President and everything that has happened. We have hit the month of June. There are some, 6 months to go before the elections, because December 7th. So what is your reading so far of the NPP and its process of getting a running mate, even before we talk about the candidates? The last time I spoke to former chairman of the party, Peter McMenu, and he said they are not late. They are not late at all. And that Bawumia himself was chosen pretty late on one of the occasions. Your reflections before we delve into the groupings?
Yes, I think that this is a battle that you don't need to waste time, because it's going to take a long time to be able to get whoever you have nominated to get acclimatized with the whole process. And it takes a while. The earlier that person is brought in, the better, so that quickly he comes to familiarize him or herself with the process, and then help the tickets, is important. But they say, well, it's not late. We are waiting for them. But those who are already out there, and they are making inroads. So I think they have their game plan. But for me, where I said the earlier, the better.
Wait, you say they are not late, but for you, the
Yes.
earlier, the better. Do you feel the NPP is late?
I feel that 6 months to time, you should have had your running mate a long time. Because when are you going to bring the person? When is the person going to acclimatize with all the processes, and so as to support the campaign effectively? Remember that you are not just going to nominate the person, but the person is going to be part and parcel of the whole process of the campaign. And there are certain dynamics that you need to be abreast with and all that. So a little tutorial here and there, and then you need to do a few things. So all these things are as a function of time. So the more you delay the process of whoever that person is in going through these processes. So what are you waiting for? Remember, you are also, your manifesto is not out yet. And all these things are things that you need to do, and do it on time. But
the main opposition party also doesn't have a manifesto out yet. They do have a running mate, but they don't have a manifesto.
At least they have a running mate. And you realize that one hurdle is closed. You need 2 manifesto running mates, and they have a running mate. And so they are ahead in terms of the 2 issues we are talking about. But hey, they have their game plan. So ours will be just the commentary. But we know that they need to bring the person sooner than later, sooner.
Okay. Let me also acknowledge the presence of Dr. Richard Amwakoba. Doc, good morning. Dr. Amwakoba, can you hear me, please?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. We have Dr. Richard Amwakoba on phone. Doc, what do you make? As of now, no running mate. Some have even projected, looking into their crystal ball, that maybe in the Ashanti region, that is where the Vice President will announce his running mate. But for you, as of this moment, what is your reading of the situation when it comes to the NPP? No running mate as of now.
Well, it's an indication of the disarray of the party from the beginning. The party constitution says the running mate should be picked right around 1 year. Here we are 6 months. We're still making a force of that. The running mate is not just a name that you put on your table. It's a person who is supposed to help articulate to the rest. If you are going around speaking to fire, then of course, only the running mate. You are supposed to be 2 people right here, one that used to Here you are.
Doc.
Yeah.
We have some slight challenges with your line. I'm sorry we always do this. I think it's the weather and connectivity, but if you could just move a little away from where you are and let us try again. Speak a little louder for us.
Is it better?
Better, please. Please go ahead.
Okay. What I'm saying is, it takes two people to campaign, and more. The two of you will gather your people around you. One goes this way, one goes that way. If the president, vice president, for example, says something that is not very charitable or has problems with his statement, the other one comes and smooths it over. Now, if you're going around by yourself all this time, what do you need someone for? That's the problem I have. Because it started with the selection of he himself. It didn't go the way it's supposed to, not according to the constitution of the party. And it continues. It's a clear violation of the party instruments of constitutionality. And yet we don't talk about it. It's almost as if this party now, we do whatever we want.
Wait, you're making some very interesting assertions. You say the vice president has done it all up till now, so what is that person going to come and do? And you also say it's a violation of the party's, tenets?
Yes, it's a violation of the party's constitution. You see?
How so?
The articles in the constitution that speak to when the vice president should pick the running mate. You understand? But we will waive anything, anytime we want, just for his convenience. So anybody who the party supports convenience, that is not how you run a party. This is what has happened throughout the whole election cycle, and it continues today. And yet nobody says anything. We are not. Should we be talking after we are late? The Constitution provides stable funding, and now we are talking about we are not late. Should you be late? No. The person you are picking must know you. It must be a good fit. It is not one day you are coming here to talk to the person that you get to know, really know the person. Some of them, I'm sure, you know them well already. But it must be a good fit. Sometimes you see somebody from afar, it's different from how he is when you go close to the person. And so you have to work with the person for a while. You have to coach him how to say certain things. All of that, you can do all of that in this short time and be effective? I don't know. Maybe you can do it. Let's wait and see. And some of the people mentioned, I don't want to despise anyone. I won't speak about them. They are all qualified. That's what I'll say. And so good luck to them.
All right, good luck. Let me now bring in Professor Kobi Mensah. And Professor, what I want to find out from you is, do you think this is a strategy in terms of the NPP taking their time to announce a running mate, or is it just a matter of preparedness?
Right, thank you, Siti, for the question. I think if it's a strategy, then it's a wrong strategy. I mean, my colleagues have actually, articulated. When it comes to political strategy, you can either backload or front load, depending on the situation. So the political market is very dynamic. You want to read, the signs. But let me tell you the reason why I agree with, Dr. Makuba and my good friend, Dr. Asasante. Now, in the political system, especially in the electoral cycle, usually three activities are actually conducted, major activities. One is the formation of the manifesto committee. Two, you're talking about the formation of the campaign team. And then, of course, you have the announcement of the vice presidential candidate. That is when the presidential candidate had been chosen. Now, in most cases, and you can check on our records, the vice presidential candidate should be announced or is announced in order that their team can actually be part of the two other teams, which is the manifesto committee and the campaign team. The vice presidential team must be part of that. The vice president must be, the nominee must also be part of these particular teams. You have announced the two, manifesto committee, you have announced campaign team with no vice president. And that's why Dr. Makuba is saying, what is that person coming to do then? because that person is supposed to be part and parcel of the manifesto. Granted that perhaps all of these people who are on the list are actually part of the manifesto committee going for it anyway. Maybe we don't know. But the public must know, because there's a perceived chemistry. All right, there's what we call perceived chemistry. So even if you have been working with these people over a period of time, and so you know them, and so you have a chemistry with them, what about the people's knowledge of a chemistry between the two of you? From the voters' perspective, we don't know that. And so the perceived chemistry, whether there's chemistry or not, it's very important, because if we don't see that there is a working chemistry between the candidate and the vice candidate, what is going to happen is any small thing, we're going to read meanings into it, because we're going to say, there is no chemistry between them. They can't work together. But in actual fact, perhaps you can work together. But then we haven't actually seen that length of, harmonization between the two of you. So for me, if it's a strategy, it's a very terrible strategy, because you cannot backload when you have a political system like that. One, the party is not popular. Two, the candidate is not popular. You need a vice candidate, perhaps, who can smoothen, which Dr. Mokoba actually said. When you falter, the vice candidate actually picks you up. You're supposed to have a vice candidate that is complementary to you in terms of policy positions, because not all policy is your strong suit. Maybe you are very strong in economy, but not in energy. So your vice candidate can actually mop you up there. But you don't have that, and you're doing all by yourself. I think it's a very terrible strategy if it was a strategy. But I think it's an indication of the division in the party and the lack of assertiveness of the presidential candidate. I have said it time and again, if a presidential candidate can be toyed around by certain party chairmen, perceived power brokers, how could you actually meet, Vladimir Putin, for example, at a global, a geopolitical discussions? I mean, you do not have the assertiveness to meet very egoistic, world leaders if you cannot manage your own internal party people.
Is it possible then that these names that have been put out, I mean, most of them are popular and active political figures. Is it possible, I mean, when you talk about perceived chemistry and lack of assertiveness, is it possible that that's their way of building the chemistry, so that when they finally announce one person out of the lot, the public already sort of identifies with this person?
It is absolutely not the right way. Okay. I mean, it even brings division, because currently, as we speak, the supporters of these people, not necessarily these people, because these people, perhaps internally, they know themselves, they know what's happening, but the supporters of these people are going to take it like you have snubbed their person. And so you have very little time to deal with the commotion that will come for people thinking you didn't actually, it wasn't a good faith. You didn't deal with them in good faith by ditching their candidate. Because don't forget, it is mostly the people behind these people are what is important. That's why I use the word perceived, all right? The voters, the basis of these people have to see that you have dealt with their candidate rightly. Now, if you do not do so and you drag it towards the latter part of the campaign, that's going to be another crisis management for you. Why do you want to put yourself in that particular position? Okay. So do it early, deal with the cracks, and then head on to the campaign.
Okay, let me go back to Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, and let me take the conversation to another level. We know that the NPP, their tradition of this Dankwa Dombo Buzia tradition, and now that the vice president is in the Ashanti region, what's your appreciation of this tradition as in where we are now? Some of the people we've seen on the list are not necessarily from the Ashanti region. Do you think that they're going to stick with this and choose someone, or must they choose someone from the Ashanti region? And what does this do for their campaign?
Well, actually, I believe strongly that they should choose somebody from Ashanti region. It's a good political strategy because if you look at NPP, their strongholds, there are two, Ashanti and Eastern. And you know the volume of votes in Ashanti region if Ashantis are voting massively, right? So yes, a candidate from Ashanti is not a bad idea at all. But of course, you can also pick someone from the swing regions of Greater Accra and Central Region. But in terms of ranking, I will put Ashanti first for MPP. Yes, if you get an Ashanti person, you are likely, to all things being equal, to ginger the people up to vote for you. Simply because then at the back of their minds, they know that when that person, the party is able to win the election, he's going to be the vice president. Who knows? One day step into the shoes of the president or been given opportunity to rule as a president. These factors are there, but that is not to say that is the only factor that influences voter choice. There are a lot that can sway this thing completely. But for strategic purposes, I believe Ashanti candidate is the best for MPP. And then they need somebody with a strong personality, somebody who is marketable, somebody who is popular, and somebody who can rub shoulders with any other running mate in the other political divide, particularly the NDC. Okay. So it's a third order that they need to work that fine line carefully in order to arrive at somebody who is worth his or her salt for this exercise.
Staying on that point, I just want to run this by all of you gentlemen, starting with you, Doc, because you've already touched on it. Will selecting a candidate from the Ashanti region be enough to assuage, to placate the people of that region? Because mind you, I was referencing in the news review how Oseche Mensah-Bonsu had been pelted in Swami with sachets of pure water. You wouldn't expect that. How some chiefs have come out to criticize the NPP. You wouldn't, in my experience, I've not seen that in the Fourth Republic. Some of the commentary, people say, look, it's either we abstain or we vote a certain way. Do you think this will be able to placate the masses in that region just by selecting a candidate from that region?
If you listen to the conversation so far had, the Ashantis, quite apart from the fact that some of them are in this government, they are very bitter. If you listen to the agitation from Parliament as to Ofurata must go and all that, who are those who champion that cause? My classmates and the Apia Kubi and the rest of them. All right. So we realize that Ashanti forces are putting themselves up together to fight for the battle of leadership position within their party. It is no doubt at all. I'm clear in my mind because they believe that yes, Achim have had their turn, and then this issue of Dankwa Dombo Buzia tradition, which is also problematic because the issue is that if we are talking about Dombo today, one will be the turn of Buzia, or the turn of and even other political parties, because that even theory for me is totally wrong. Because if you look at the UP tradition, as they became UP, after the Avoidance of Discrimination Act, all political parties were banned, they all gang up and formed the UP, which is, a group of various political parties, including Anglo Youth Organization, and other groups. So when will be the turn for other these things? So, but that's another conversation, another day. But the real issue is that it is not only the vice presidential or the running mate slot or the running mate factor that influence voter choices in this country. There are a lot. In fact, the main ones are the economy, infrastructure development, the fight against corruption, rule of law, unemployment. These are critical ones. Of course, the vice presidential slot is also a special one in the sense that if you look at, there are various reasons for selecting a running mate to support the ticket. One, there are 3 or 4. One is that you want somebody who will come and augment the effort of the flag bearer. Okay. You need that person. And then 2, you need somebody with a different skill set who will come and also support the flag bearer. So that is why Nana Akufo-Addo brought Bawumia in. That yes, he is weak in the area of economics, so he will come and then inject energy into that. Go cast your mind back to America. Why was President Obama, why did Obama select Biden as a running mate? Simply because Biden was so strong in the area of diplomacy. So he wanted to bring him close so that the ticket, remember the president ticket and that of the vice president ticket is one. All right, there is no driver's mate. That's a misconception of the analogy and all that. The best you can be is what? A co-pilot. And the third factor that they consider is that which other group of people can this, running mate person attract to the party? They consider that. And then above all, they look at what the areas that this running mates can also come in and to support and all that. So these 3 or 4 factors are very, very critical. So you are not just picking anybody, but you are picking based on these qualities that will come and then support the ticket of the flag bearer. Right. Remember, in absence of the flag bearer, if he finally becomes the president and is unable to continue, the vice steps in straight away, right? Because their ticket is won. You don't go through election again. You have elected the president and indirectly elected what? The running mate straight away. Right. So there are other factors that can influence the voter choices. But this one is critical because you are talking about a group of people who are complaining, they want power, to appease them, and this obviously is the best ticket that you need, because if nothing for nothing at all, once they see that type of person who is from their region, their own man or woman, right, is going to ginger them than picking from any other person. This added to the factors I have said, all right, can really sway voters to let you win political power. But that is not to say that other factors don't influence. People consider the economy. The economy is a main determinant of voter choices. They consider because, a hungry man is always an angry man. And they consider infrastructure development. And that is why you see even in Ashanti region, people talking about roads. Where are the roads and all that? They consider fight against corruption because it affects the governance structure of this country.
Right. So definitely the
issue of unemployment. Yeah.
So definitely there are other factors, of course, that they will also have to deal with. Professor Kwame-Mensah, same question. Your reaction?
Yeah. Benji, you see, I have kept on several times telling the NPP people the conversation about where a candidate is coming from is non-strategic and non-visionary, and they should desist from it. But they kept on saying, oh, if you don't choose Bawumia, it means that you have used and abandoned. Look, if you want to tell Ghanaians that the party is national in character, it is not by choosing a candidate. That has to be a default position about who is competent to be your leader, not where they are coming from. Now, let me give you a scenario. Now, granted that any of the Ashantis become the vice candidate, and which, Dr. Asar Asante said that, that person inevitably becomes the head if the president is not there, and most likely become the one in pole position, come the next leadership contest. What are you going to get? You're going to get another Ashanti. Now, people are going to refer you to the idea that it has always been the Southern dominant. Then your preferred candidate of Bawumia becomes a window dressing. I'm telling you, after this election, Bawumia cannot, unless he wins the election and then he becomes a president, he cannot win the leadership contest of NPP in the next round. He cannot. And if that happens, then it means that it was a window dressing. You haven't actually tackled the issue of perceived acanistic. All right? And I keep telling them that the reasons why you haven't been able to deal with that, because of certain little things that you do that makes people think that you are perceived acanistic. So if you want to solve the acanistic tag, it is not about using Bawumia as an example of you being national. Because in the end, whoever becomes the vice candidate is most likely going to head the ticket. Then you go back to the same conversation. For me, they haven't been strategic. You do not have to concentrate on your leadership selection based on where somebody is coming from. If you say, as I said, Dankwa, Buzia, Dombo, or whatever you call it, what about the Ga people? What about the Evers? It is problematic when you start using these things. And that is exactly why people keep saying you are sectionist. You have to stop using these languages. We are sort of following the Nigerian example that hasn't actually worked for the country. Always talking about North-South ticket. What is that? Persons must emerge based on their competency, based on their contribution to the party, based on their activeness in the political party. And then when they put themselves forward, regardless of where they come from, they should be able to be seen as competent managers of this country by the voters. But if you take the lazy approach by just saying, because we have X number of people here, and because we haven't used these people, so we have to go for it, that's a lazy strategy. And that does not help you. And it will keep having that perceived sectionist position on you. They need to change their strategy.
All right. Dr. Richard Amakuba, the same question to you. We just want to exhaust this. Will selecting a candidate or a running mate from the Ashanti region assuage, placate those who are going to be voting from that region? Do you think?
Not at all.
Not at all.
There's never been a situation like this. A candidate from this region, Ashanti region, a team from here, pull people to vote. No. Maybe other carry just to say to someone, but not as vote their own way. If they like an you have to. Because this party was born. It's their. But it's not say that.
Dr. Amakuba, I feel really sad about it because we shall call you with a different line just to see whether the connection will be better. Because you are making important points and we can't get the thrust of it. We really apologize for that. We'll try to reach him on a different line. But sweetie, interesting dynamics, interesting thoughts being shared.
Yes, and in fact, based on the thoughts that have been shared by both Professor Kobi Mensah and Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, I'm curious to find out from both of you, if you may, on the competency level, you have spoken about ranking and all that achievements and what they bring to the party. What are the chances that a woman will emerge as the running mate for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia? Let me start with you, Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. In terms of competence, in terms of ranking, in terms of achievements, what the person brings on, and the names that we've seen, what are the chances that a woman will emerge?
Anybody who is qualified is fit for this position. Remember, we are looking for somebody first who can assess the flag bearer to, as it were, get votes. And then we are looking for what? Competence, because at the end of the day, you'll be measured based on performance. So you need competence, and then you need popularity and all that, because we are looking at game of numbers. So better competence is number one. So whether male or female who is qualified, fine. That is my position on that. So then you need to go back to what I said. What is the person bringing? Because you are not going to look at it, the competencies of the two, which are the same. No, then it doesn't help anybody. The running mate should bring something different to come and support what the flag bearer also has. And then you need somebody who can also appeal to other groups of people so as to shore up the numbers. And of course, you also need somebody who can also step into the shoes of the flag bearer if he finally becomes the president and he is unable to continue. So you need these things well managed well and all that. So that is why you are now going to look at all these people who is fit for purpose in terms of what we are talking about. Obviously, you look at what popularity of that individual, who is popular, because it's a game of numbers. Apart from the fact that you are talking about, competence and all that, who is popular. And then you want that popularity not within the party alone, but across the nook and cranny of this country, because you are going to draw support from all the people. Of course, you need somebody with constituencies. And when I say constituencies, it's not your home constituency alone, but you appeal to various groups. what are the groups that you can appeal to? All right?
Right.
We want to see beyond your constituency, home constituency or whatever. And then you need somebody who is marketable. We can sell that person without headache. That means that you are looking for people with less baggage. If you have somebody with a lot of baggage, and then that is going to be the raw material for position to cash in on that and use it against you. So while the campaign is going on, you are answering questions about your records and your background or the baggage. You need to respond that is something that can work against you. But of course, you also need somebody that in absence of the president or the flag bearer, he has what it takes to steer the party to the final destination. So it's a mix of factors that you need to weigh them very well. So not necessarily a man or a woman, but somebody who can really bring in the votes, somebody that when elected into office, he can also pair up with the president to deliver on their mandate. And then in the unfortunate situation that the president may not be able to continue, he stepped into the shoes of the president and then, ferry all of us across the Rubicon.
Okay, I'll come back to Professor Kobe-Mensah on this same issue, but Dr. Makoba is back with us and he was in the middle of making a submission when the line interrupted. So, Dr. Makoba, please go ahead.
There's an interesting issue relating to this that I think I have to bring out. I heard the chief of Doma making the pronouncement that if Bawumia picks someone from Ashanti region, Bonos will not vote for him. I hope you heard it.
Did you say dogs will not vote for him?
Bonos.
Bonos. Oh, sorry. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Brahavo will not vote for him. So now this is what is called unforced error. You have created a problem. I know it's not going to be universal that what the chief says, what everybody does. But you don't know, you don't have to have this baggage with you to be talking about Ashanti this and Ashanti that. Ashantis don't vote this way. Now they follow a leader. Who is the leader? All the people there. Who is the leader of Ashanti? Who is a leader of Ashanti? They are all independent people working in the administration in various capacities. So that is not going to change much. But what the chief said is what I want to address. You want Ashanti. Now you've created an enemy. If you vote for Ashanti, we will not vote. What have you done? This has never happened with tribal politics like that. But what the chief said is actually not correct. Because there are times when people should vote according to regions, especially in the parliament when they are picking leaders. It is called caucus. The Ashanti region has 47 MPs. And Blue, for example, has, I think, 12. What is the comparison? And so if the Ashanti MPs vote for you, you will get your legislation through very easy compared to the Blues. And so this is why sometimes the politicians talk along caucus lines. But here, we don't normally vote according to caucuses. We vote according to party. And so it should not come in. This idea of Ashanti, Ashanti, Ashanti. Ashanti, we say, we accept everybody. This is why Mutaka is still MP. And he's in Asawasi. You see. So we are not reading the science properly.
So you're saying that it wouldn't matter where the person
no, if he's
emerges
good,
from.
That's all we want. We're good. That's all we want.
Okay.
That's it. Why is he going to give Ashanti's money? He's going to buy food for every Ashanti? No. We know that you chop your money with your family. But if you do well, it affects all of us. Doing well is not an exclusive ability of Ashantis. And so you should not do it ourselves. As if you vote for Ashanti, and then they say, no. Many of these candidates I've seen here from Ashantis are very unpopular.
Okay,
thank you. I won't mention anybody's name because I don't want to denigrate anyone. But that's the truth.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Makoba. Professor Kobe-Mensah, I'm back to you on the chances that a woman emerges based on competence, popularity, ranking and all the main, yardsticks that will be used to measure a running mate for the NPP? What are the chances that a woman will emerge?
Well, thank you very much for that. I think that if you look at the chances in terms of the factors that you talked about, I hardly would see, the women on the ticket, coming in. Of course, unless, of course, the candidate, want somebody that he feels comfortable to work with as the measure, which is one of the measures anyway. The Americans will say someone he can share a beer with, If that's the construct that he's using to actually do the selection, then of course it's likely that he could choose a woman, which we don't know. But if you talk about the raft of bases that they would use, especially if you look at the women on the ticket, as Asante actually talked about, what is your constituency? Of course, Frema, for example, very well known within the grassroots of the political party. But I don't think that the general public of Ghanaians really have a taste of her. Obviously, her time in government had been in the office of the president. She had actually been an MP. She had come from the University of Ghana. But the kind of constituency that we think, you would appeal to, whether good or bad, it's very small, So in that sense, you need a lot of time to really.
I think we lost Professor Kobe Mensah there for a bit. But interesting submission.
I think I hear him back. Professor Kobe Mensah?
Oh, yeah, okay.
We lost you for 3 seconds. Just go back.
Okay, all right, okay. So if you take Asla Wusu, for example, of course, another woman perhaps much more well-known within the Ghanaian public, perhaps, than Frema, because of the role she's actually played during her third sector assembly work. And then, of course, she's been very, frontal with politics in Ghana. But of course, again, the idea of, whether the people have a certain, love for her. Of course, she's an MP, so she has her own constituency that she governs. But for the general public of Ghanaians, I'm not sure to what extent people would actually embrace it. Perhaps you would need quite a lot of time to warm up to people. And then the professor, i.e. the Vice Chancellor of KNUST, obviously a very important position, an academic, so you would expect a certain rigor, coming into the what do you call the seat, or coming to the seat with. But of course, again, you need a certain period of time to market it. And as we said, it's taken you so long, for you to come to the table with the selection. So I am not sure really whether the women, if we use a lot more of the basis to assess them, would have the chance to do so, in terms of complementing the ticket. However, if the candidate wants someone that they don't want to be more competitive, they don't want to be somebody that could really challenge the authority, etc., then of course I think the women could emerge. But if we have to use the extensive measures, I doubt it. I think it would be a man.
Let's analyze the candidates one by one and look at their merits, demerits, fortes, foibles, and you give your verdict. I'll start with you, Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. So we'll be placing them on the screen one by one, just so you can, we've already mentioned them. I'll just reiterate very quickly. There's Professor Rita Akosua-Dixon, Vice Chancellor of the KNUST. She's 54. And as you deliver your remarks on them, I also want you to factor in the bit about age, because look at the years. I think the lowest I've seen is Prof at KNUST, 54 years. All the others, it goes as high as 77 when you look at the Chief of Staff, Fremose Opare. So there's the KNUST Vice Chancellor. There is Dr. Kokofu, Special Envoy on the Climate. He's a lawyer. Then there's
Esla
Owusu-Ekufo, Minister for Communications. She's 59. Okay, so Natoshi is 54, right? Then we have Professor Onyina, who is 69 years. And then we also have the Chief of Staff, like I mentioned, who is 77. Which one of these for you, if you had to give a top 3 ranking, who would be in your top 3? Who would be number 3? Who would be number 2? Who would be number 1? And the age factor reflecting the number of young people who are going to be voting in election 2024. Dr. Kwame Asante, let's start with you.
Right. I think when I look at all of them, I'll put Napo number 1.
Who's number 2?
Then the professor, KNUST, and then the third, I'll put Minister for Education.
All right. So give us an explanation why, and factor in your thoughts on age.
Yes. If you look at their ages, for me, age doesn't count a lot. Otherwise, we wouldn't have Biden running the affairs of the state. If you look
but Biden, in a way, is struggling with his health. You know that.
Yeah, I am coming to that. That all things being equal, if the person has good health and all that, he can deliver. America has had a lot of foreign ministers, Secretary of States were very old, and so is the situation in Britain and all that. Provided you can deliver, for me, age doesn't really matter. We have a president now who is 80 years and is still going strong and delivering. So, but we need somebody. All that we need is competence. The first thing.
Okay. So just pardon me. I don't want to come in, but that is what you are looking at. But the young people who will be voting in 2024, they are looking at young blood. Do you think this will still attract them when the age is so far out there?
Yeah, young people don't also shy away from old people who can make sense and who can provide their needs. We did some study in 2016 and realized that age doesn't really matter. They want somebody competent enough to be able to steer the affairs of the state, and that it will rob off them in terms of what? Economic improvement and all that. So does it really matter? You put a young man there who knows next to nothing and he can't deliver to satisfy the interests of the young people. They will be so angry and they would like to chase him out. They want somebody who is competent enough and will be able to meet their dreams and aspirations. For me, that is it. So age doesn't really matter. But you see, let me also state here that research has shown that ethnicity, religion, play very little role in politics. I am not, oblivious of that fact. So when we are saying that people are picking somebody from Ashanti region and all that, for strategic purposes, fine. But if you're looking at what, picking somebody just in name that you just want to pick, then anybody from any part of this country is qualified. But if you really want to ginger people and make sure that you meet certain, demands of certain quarters of the country, which is so important to you as a party, obviously, that is why the choice of an Asante is critical. That is not to say that we believe in ethnicity or playing the ethnic card. But if you look at Napo, Napo, number 1, in the sense that if you look at, if the Asante factor is what is going to drive the party to look for somebody, Asante, to ginger the party faithful in Ashanti region to vote, then what are the other considerations would put Napo ahead of all of them? The Asante factor, everybody is qualified. In terms of experience, everybody has. But come back to look at issue of interest and all that. When you are competing, where Napo is coming from as an Asante, all right, from the palace, and normally traditional authorities, they don't campaign for people, but I tell you, their role in politics is very, very strong. If you follow Achimwebuakwa politics, Asante politics and all that, the Menchia has been a very credible institution and all that. So among Ashantis, if Ashanti is competing and you have somebody from the palace, it's a different story, provided the person is of great quality and all that. But I see that in Napo, there's no doubt about that. Quite apart from that, politics, ethnicity, I'm saying that we don't play the ethnic card. But, always there is ethnic interest that people hold. They will not play that card playing to you, for you to say. But if you study Ghanaian politics, there is an aspect we teach ethnicity in Ghanaian politics. We tell you how some of these things also have, play little role in politics. Napo's mother, remember, comes from what? Achim. The Achim factor within the NPP, that Achim group, will not let power go off their hands as soon as they see exit of Akufo-Addo 2025. They want to also have control. So somebody who has a certain background, an action background, would obviously be a better choice for them in supporting the party. They are not playing ethnic card here, but they are telling you they want that interest protected and all that. So they will rally behind him and all that. So for me, that puts Napo ahead of all of them, who are very typical Asante people and all that. Apart from that, experience, all of them have they work in different places. The professor, because take it or leave it, I have said already that it doesn't matter the gender. I mean, you can be a male or female. All that we need is what? First, competence, and then two, you are able to what? Attract the necessary vote that the party deserves. If you look at what a professor from the university, it's not mean achievement, I tell you, and he has a lot of constituencies. He appealed to academics, then he will be appealing to what? Women's group and all that. That also give the woman a lot of gravitas and will be able to what? Support the ticket of what? The running mate. So obviously, look at the fact that women have not, been pushed to this level for a very long time, and we are getting women coming up like this. It really will become a toast of many, especially those who believe that we need to what? Look at what? The gender issue. So you appeal to gender groups, academics, and then what? Women in general, and then what? The general masses of the people. So for me, the professor, because I don't know how far he has been at the trenches as a party person, all right? So experience, you don't see much. And that is where Napo comes top. Napo being an MP and all that, former minister, current minister, he has held two portfolios, Minister for Education, Minister for Energy. Look, that's a big one. Remember, in politics, the ministry that you hold will either make or make you, all things being equal, if you perform, all right? If you are, certain ministries come to sharp focus because they are big, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Energy. I mean, these are ministries that are so big and that every home, you are a household name in there. If there is Dumso, everybody knows that it's coming from your ministry. If the light is on, they know that you are doing well this time around, Ministry of Education. So the woman, I would put her at the second position with the Minister for Education currently. Is not a bad candidate. He has done a lot in terms of what his achievement in that area as a deputy and now a full-blown minister, right? And Ashanti, of course. But you realize that one of the things that is going to put him ahead of those below him is the fact that he has handled a very popular ministry, a ministry for education. Go to every home, almost every home, there are people who go to school. And the ministry's name is a household name in there. Right. So really can appeal to what? Education, people in academia, appeal to what? Families, because you are educating your children and all that, and they are seeing the work that he has done and all that. And he appears to be somebody with what? Interesting ideas and all that. Of course, Joy FM has also told us that we still have schools of shame in there. So irrespective of all that we have said, there are questions that they need to answer. Napo, for instance, will have to prepare himself as to how he will be able to answer the question of what Dumso in recent time. Because the issue of what Dumso economy versus what 24-hour economy will come face to face with him. And he has to do well to tell us that the issue of schools of shame will confront the Minister for Education, that he needs to deal with this. Of course, we even have schools which run shifts in recent times and all that. So these are some of the things. But for me, if you ask me strategically and from where I sit, my best bet would be this three, and Napo as all.
Professor Kobi-Mensah, what would be your assessment of same? Dr. Asante says his ranking, Napo first, Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh first, the Vice Chancellor of the KNUST second, Yao Osei Duchum third. For you?
It looks like, Kwame, you were watching my paper, right? I penned that the same thing. I actually have Napo first, Professor second, and then the Minister for Education third. clearly the same basis that Kwame has actually articulated. Now, I say that granted Napo's limitations, he is someone of a drive. I mean, nobody would actually take that from him. He has a lot of energy. He's very frontal. He speaks his mind. Obviously, in elections or in politics, some of those attributes of him could be very problematic because you have image to manage. Not everybody likes a very frontal, personality. And so at some point in time, you want to manage that particular part of you in order that you could fit, appropriately with the political image or political brand image that you would want to have. But nobody would take from him the kind of energy he brings, and then, of course, he's been with the party for so long, right from school days. He actually been forefront of, student politics, obviously national politics, constituency politics. He has a whole base, in the NPP. If you have to close your eye and mention 10 people in NPP, certainly Napo is going to appear. I'm sure even in the first 5, he's going to appear there. So you cannot discount his base in the NPP. You cannot discount his drive, that he brings to his work. But of course, you can also not, you wouldn't, cease to take notice of his abrasiveness, which some leadership expert will tell you that you needed that kind of thing, especially when it comes to management. People will tell you that successful businesses are those who actually have brazen, leaders who can actually speak to your face, what it is in their mind. But in politics, sometimes it's problematic. So I think that Napo tops, with these kind of attributes that aside, obviously what I have actually added. Now the professor, yes, you're going to have a very deep thinker. As I said, you're going to have different women groups. Of course, the transformation or the transitioning of that expertise, I don't know whether she's actually worked in the political front before, in comparison to Nana Jane. But of course, the kind of competencies that the professorial candidate is actually bringing on board, you cannot discount it. Very, very deep thinkers, very, very conceptualized in the positions. They will play the thing in their heads. They will play it in a manner that they would find it necessary to actually bring in, if they find that is what they're supposed to do. Very thoughtful. Of course, you're going to have a very little kind of negativities to throw against them. And that will make it difficult for a negative campaign coming from the NDC side, just like we've seen from the NPP side, being difficult to throw, dirt at, Professor Jane. And so this lady also brings on board that particular buffer, that perhaps the ticket would need to sort of stay out, the attacks that people would like to throw. But you would need a lot of marketing because she hadn't been forefront of politics, in the past. Now, if you take Edichum, no doubt he's actually brought in something new, STEM education. I completely disagree with the way he handles, and I think Napo did fantastically well in education than what he's doing, and I've been very frank about it. I think that he's been very hyperactive. I mean, he's changing calendars here and there, unilaterally taking decisions, and we've heard the educational ministry people and the people in the education complaining about how he handles his ministry. And I think that he needs to change his ways if he's really wanting to actually climb to the top of the ladder, because you couldn't be taking unilateral decisions at your instances that you want. And I think that he talks too much. I think he needs some time to listen and then also give feedback. But every time it's about him, etc. But I put him on third because he's brought in some kind of new conversation, the STEM education. He's brought in some kind of new dimension. But I think that he needs to be very stable, and he needs to actually plug himself into the conventions as opposed to just whimsically doing things. And so I put him on third as well, as my ranking. And let me say that in elections, I mean in politics, just like in other service industries, decisions are made on conjoint basis. We rank order of importance. So it is not only that ethnicity or economy or delivery, etc. People rank in order of importance what they think to them is the best way of voting. And so we couldn't have one-dimensional and say this is the most important. Okay. People individually rank their factors. So someone's factor A would be someone's factor C, depending on people's circumstances, etc.
All right, but you didn't touch on the age factor. Do you agree with Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante when he says that young people don't shy away from people who make sense to them and will be competent enough to do the things that they want?
Look, decisions perceptually are dependent on factors including industry. I don't think it's lost on young people the fact that politics is a higher calling business. Okay. It is not, just selling everything else in town. That the decisions and the managerial things are within your control when it comes to individual businesses. Politics, majority of the decisions might not be in your control. There's a global playing field that you need to play. There's international policies, foreign policies, there are local stuff, so many other factors. Okay. So yes, young people want young people, but they do not want young people who think in a young people way. When I say young people way, I don't mean in negative terms, but young people, sometimes behave in a manner or they take decisions in a manner that when they grow up, you realize that, I shouldn't have actually taken A, B, C, D decision. That's when you have matured. So even when young people are voting young people, they want a young person that is mature in their thinking. So the decision in politics is a higher calling decision. Young people would not just stick by age. They would stick by the depth of your decision making in order that you could demonstrate to them that you would deliver. So it's not just about the numbers. So that's why usually they would defer to an elderly person, because fundamentally, if you're using what we call heuristics, you would say that an elderly person has an elderly mind. They have mature mind, although it doesn't turn out to be the case all the time. But they would definitely defer to a higher person if they don't see the evidences of a young person being mature.
All right. Let's now turn to Dr. Mwakobam. Well, both speakers have said NAPO first, Professor Dixon second, and the Education Minister third. What do you say? Did we lose?
Did we just lose? Okay, we'll try and get him back. Right when we were, throwing that shot at him. An interesting bit in there, and we'll try to get Dr. Richard Amwakoba back and then find out from him, what his take will be. But I have an interesting question for you two, very briefly, so that when we get Doc, we can go back to him. Of the women, if I asked you to rank just the women, what would you say, very briefly? Dr. Amwakoba, Dr. Asah-Asante, what would you say? If you had to rank the women candidates, which one would come tops for you and why?
Obviously, the professor will lead because he's coming from, he has a whole, wealth of experience and from academia. These are big brains. And remember, Aristotle, the greatest of all, is always want to guide us that politics must be handled by those who are intellectually fit. It's a serious intellectual exercise. No joker is welcome in there because you are going to take serious decisions, you are going to think critically and all that. Okay. Quite apart from that, look at it. The university is a microcosm of a country. So when you have somebody who manages that place, then he tells you that, look, we can manage the state as well, all things being equal. That background is a lot. Of course, if he has also played part in active politics behind the scenes, is going to add up to that. So for the professor, I think that I will rank tops within the NPP, the names that you have put forward to us to consider. I think the second person, I will give it to Osla. Osla Kufu. Osla is a very sharp person, very articulate. He has ideas, and he has also been active in politics. He has been in parliament for years. That wealth of experience is there. As a lawyer, he has a certain background he brings to bear on the situation. Remember the constituency she's coming from, apart from gender groups, apart from legal fraternity, apart from Eastern region, which is one of the strongholds of the NPP, all right? And also from the Achim block, I have no doubt in my mind that you are dealing with a candidate which is worth her salt. So I believe that Osla is a material also. If you are ranking, you'll be the second for me.
All right.
The third, yeah.
We have Dr. Makuba on. Dr. Kwame, sorry for interjecting there, but
No,
I do
fine.
want to get his, we want to get his ranking of who comes first, second, and third. Dr. Makuba, your take.
Yes, I'm sorry. I don't think it's appropriate for me to give voters, tell them who to vote for. If they trust my judgment, I'll give it to them. And if they trust it enough and want to do the same thing I did, then that's up to them. But it will not be appropriate for me to put somebody at number 5 or 6 or whatever. The person who picked them think they are all qualified, so he should decide. But there's one thing I want to say. The Reverend Onyina, this is hard for me to say, but I have to say it. You occupy a great office, the highest office, more than president. You serve God. Please, drop out of this race. It's a horse race. It's not good for your image. It's not good for you as an officer. We say that politics and religion do not mix. Just remember that.
You're saying politics and religion don't mix, so Professor Onyina should step aside and that this is not doing well for his image. But at the same time, there are people who have said that, no, we need people with principle, character to get into politics. Then someone who is there is in the mix and you say, no, he should step aside. Why?
No, are you saying that with the religious people, we don't have any people with principles and character?
No, that's not what I'm saying. But I'm also saying that he is one of those people that some could look at, right?
Yes, it's true. He has principles, he has character. That is why I'm saying what I'm saying to him. Keep it. It is more important to be in the service of God clean. Politics is not always clean. If he doesn't know, I'm telling him now. That's all I want to say. But all the others qualify. And so I'll put them all first.
Okay.
There you have it. That's an interesting bit.
He said, if you trust me, then do what I'll do. But you didn't tell us what you would do.
Please.
You know?
I mean, can you give us a sneak peek at least? If you were on the committee to choose somebody, I mean, where would you lean? What qualities would you look for?
The candidate himself should not go through this. He should not go through this at all. We cannot pick for him. You don't know his likes and dislikes. He has mentioned these people. It means there's something about each one he likes. Which one is it? I don't know for sure. That's all. Let him decide. That is how it's supposed to be. Actually, by the time you become vice president, you should know who you are running with. It's not a beauty contest. It's not a popularity contest. For us to say this one is this one is this, you should know. The candidate himself should know. That's it. This is an unnecessary charade, honestly. What is it? Is it a popularity contest? What? Is it an academic exercise? What is it? Religious exercise? I don't understand it. It's not acceptable. So he should decide. Spare us the trouble. Okay. That's all I say about that issue.
As we wrap, sweetie, I do not know. I want to go off the trajectory just for a minute and wrap. It's political, but it talks about leadership moving forward. You must have heard, gentlemen, about the parliamentary candidate for Amenfi East and what he said about beating up soldiers who try to intervene when it comes to Galamsey activities. I don't know whether you can give me 40 seconds each of your thoughts on that development. Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, you're first up.
I think if what I'm hearing is anything to go by, it's unfortunate. Because this is the war that this country is fighting with all our resources to get it out of our system. Look at the effect of galamsey on production of what? Food, on production of cocoa, and then on health. Look at the consequence that we have from these illegal activities. And then what is the country has not even averted their minds to. The issue of what our neighbors, how we pollute their water bodies, sooner than later, they are going to take us on and all that. Look at, kidney problems that we have, which a lot have been attributed to the fact that we have poisonous substances in our water bodies and all that. So for somebody who is holding a political office and to urge people along this negative path, I believe that is just what it did is nothing but what? A wrong move. This type of, people should not be encouraged to hold political office because, look, all that they want is to have political power. It doesn't matter how society survive or not. But for me, anything that doesn't gel well with what or link up to the total liberation of the people economically, politically, is not worth pursuing. I believe that if that is what the man is saying, I think the security people must be able to talk to him. And then let us, we are not joking, because today, galamsey is prescribed by law. So if there is somebody there who is saying that, is doing something to undermine the law, obviously, is nuisance to the society.
Professor Mensah?
Nuisance to society.
Yeah. I mean, Benji, you see, I don't know, we call something hate speech, all right? Now, this definitely qualifies as a hate speech. And you see, when we say that we need leadership, all right, we expect leadership. That's why I always say that, yes, you might not have control over the economy because of external shocks, but there are things you can do for the people to really see the leadership in you. The president, obviously, could actually intervene in this and say that you're making my work difficult. How is it that someone makes a pronouncement like this and every institution that is responsible for keeping peace is quiet, and the police go about arresting others who do not or are not supposed to be arrested, all right? You have someone who is actually inciting, that military officers or officers of the uniform must be beaten up. I mean, the last time somebody did that incite or somebody actually incited the society, we know what happened, all right? A certain journalist died. And you have people in government quiet, you have security agencies quiet, you have so many other stakeholders quiet. How is that possible? How does that actually show leadership in the country? So for me, we do not even have to discuss it by now. This individual should have been dealt with. I mean, the state should have actually taken measures to let people know, especially us going into elections, that utterances such as this cannot be tolerated. But we're in this country. We're watching these people make utterances. And as I said, if indeed that's what he said, I think that we shouldn't even be discussing it. By now we're discussing, other issues related to why he did that, etc. He should be picked up.
Should such a person contest in an election to become a member of parliament?
We should even take, measures to sort of serve as a deterrent, that he can qualify, because you cannot be at that position and to be responsible.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for your thoughts. Dr. Asante, just a quick one. Should such a person contest for an election to be a member of parliament? Just quick thoughts.
You can contest, but I believe that any person who does not look at the general interest of the country and you look at your own parochial interest, you are not fit for purpose. And for that matter, people should vote you out.
Final words, Dr. Richard Amwakoba. On that same point, on this parliamentary candidate for Amenfi East?
Where he's coming from determines his anger and determination to stop this menace. And it is a menace. It has gone on far too long. The president keeps pronouncing, we will do this, and we will do that. He comes to Kumasi, he will go back and forth. He crosses the Brim River every time he comes to Kumasi by road. What has happened? Are we serious? That's how I see it. Frustration can make you make such statements. What has not been done? And still, the menace is still there. So for me, I leave it up to him. I wouldn't say things that way. But maybe his anger propelled him to say that.
Anyway.
But we have to say, as a nation, enough is enough. We've gone to Galamsey. Okay. We have not saved our water bodies. All of a sudden, we regularize everything. The thing the minute Galamsey brought is now legal. What is this? Are we serious? I'll leave it at that.
It's been a conversation.
You know, there's been some reported, I don't know for a fact, but some people have said that the NPP, the party's divided, right? And so what I'm looking forward to is whoever is selected as the running mate, that's the person who holds the potential to unite the various factions within the party.
To be the cement.
You know, I think they need that, if
Anyway.
indeed the party is divided. But those are just my 2 pence on this matter.
So those who joined us, Dr. Richard Amwakuba, he is a political scientist. He's a member of the NPP, and he joined this conversation. We also had Dr. Kwame Asasante, political scientist and director of the Center for European Studies. And again, we had Professor Kobi Mensah. He is with the University of Ghana Business School. He is a political marketing analyst or political marketer as well. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Yeah.
We wish you the same. Well, we're also staying on election 2024.
Wait. Give me your ranking. Give me your ranking.
Ranking? I don't have a ranking.
No? So you're siding with Dr.
I mean,
Makuba.
I would probably, because of the political landscape and everything, I probably would have favored some of the women, but I don't want to say anything. But for the topmost candidates, especially the men, I have too many negatives about some of them, which is why I don't want to, because I could peel them like onions in terms of some of what I know, even in terms of temperament, in terms of performance, and moral turpitude in some instances. And I don't know whether I want to. I don't want to say anything on that. But I think if I had to say something, maybe one of the women. I don't know, just because of.
Okay. That's okay. Let's go.
Well, stick and stay with us because many first-time voters have questions. They are in a deep search for answers about how to make their votes count. Now, we're staying on the political terrain because coming up next, Lois Shola Adeyemi will be engaging some young Ghanaians about what matters to them ahead of the December 7 polls. Now, this, of course, is in partnership with the Youth Bridge Foundation. We'll bring you that up next on the AM Show.
Amazing energy here. It's amazing to be here, and I cannot wait for us to delve into our conversation today. Hello, everybody. Oh, please, I like a lot of fans and energy. So hello, everybody. All right, that's what we want right here. Great energy to start with. Let me officially say Wezo Akwaba and welcome to a very special episode of Just Turned 18 right here on Joy Prime. Now, my name is Lois Shola Adeyemi, and I am your host and moderator for today. Now, as I said, this is Just Turned 18, and we are coming to you from the Citadel of Excellence, Ghana's premier university. I am talking about the University of Ghana, Legon. Yeah, so from the way we are all clapping, it means that we agree, right? So allow louder round of applause for our school, please. All right. So this year is an election year, and we all know that, right? As we all know that this year, many of the youths across the country who are eligible to exercise a franchise for the first time will be doing so. Because of that, Just Turned 18 has offered a platform for all of us, youths, especially first-time voters, to tell and share our experiences, our expectations, and also get to participate in the presidential and parliamentary elections. Is that not good news? All right. Today we have an experienced resource person amongst us. He is from the National Commission for Civic Education, and he will be helping us to appreciate why we fully need to participate in the national elections. But he won't be speaking alone. We are going to be asking all the questions that we want to know, and he's ready. In fact, he's poised. Because of us, he went to the gym today because he needed to come fully prepared, and he's going to make sure that he answers all our questions. Are we not happy about that? Before we kickstart the conversation, let me make us understand that this conversation is devoid of partisan politics. We are all political science students, so we know what partisan politics is, right? So we're going to make sure that there are no partisan politics in here. We are only going to speak on issues that matter to us and our country without bias. Now, before I introduce our special resource person, let me, say a very big thank you to our sponsors, because we couldn't have done this without them. Today, we are thanking Youth Bridge Foundation for making this dialogue possible. Let's say a very big thank you to Star Ghana Foundation, Petrosol, the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, the Association of International Certified Professionals Accountants, the German Ozone Medical Center, and Shopbox Technologies. A big round of applause for them as well. And now to our guest. I told you this man hasn't slept. We called him a few weeks ago, and he's been preparing ever since, making sure that he's going to answer all our questions. Now, let's give a very big round of applause to Director of Programs at the National Commission for Civic Education, Dr. Imran Mohammed.
Thank you, beautiful students. It's amazing being here. As has been mentioned, my name is Imran Mohammed, the Director for Programs at the National Commission for Civic Education. And I hope a lot of you know about this, probably through some of the activities that we've been doing or through some media publications and so on and so forth. But very briefly, National Commission for Civic Education is one of the independent governance institutions in addition to the Electoral Commission, the National Media Commission, the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice. We are specifically mandated to carry out education on the principles and objectives of the 1992 Constitution. And in doing so, young persons are our major focal point. Our work becomes more relevant when democracy meets elections. Elections have over the years been a central pillar of democracy. And this year, we are going into an election. We are really amplifying the existing works that we've been doing across the country. We are headquartered in Accra. We have 16 regional offices. We have offices in all the district capital, and we have staff carrying out education on a daily basis in Ghanaian languages. So briefly, that is what I would like to share with you about our commission.
All right, let's put our hands together for him. I told you he hasn't slept and he has a lot to tell us and educate us. But let me also say a very big thank you to the Dean for Political Science Students Association for also making this possible. And we also have the President for Political Science Students Association here with us, Mr. President. I really envy you. When we close, please make me your vice, okay? All right. All right, because this is also an all-inclusive dialogue, we are happy to have Joyce Nyakwa Agbedozo, who will be our sign language interpreter. before we get into this conversation, let me say this, that we are on Joy Prime. You can also find Joy Prime on DSTV 281, GoTV 124, and streaming. We're always streaming on all the social media platforms at Joy Prime TV. So please put your hands together for Joy Prime, because we are the ones putting this together, okay? We told you we are bringing the ultimate experience, and that is what we're going to be doing. But before we do the conversation, we have to sing because we are youth, right? So please, let's be on our feet as we sing the youth anthem. Arise, Ghana youth, for your country. The nation demands your devotion. Let us all unite to uphold her and make her great and strong. We are all involved. We are all involved. We are all involved in building our motherland. Please put your hands together for yourself. Please, let's be seated. Now, let me do some small conconsa. Can I do some toli o toli? All right, so over the weeks, I've had the opportunity to speak to first-time voters like you and I, because I told you today I turned 18. Please clap for me and say happy birthday. All right, so we've been speaking to first-time voters who have told us issues, pertinent issues that would, tell them or influence the decision to vote. Now, some of them are saying that they will vote. They are excited to do that. In fact, a significant number of them who have just turned 18 said, I will vote, because they believe that they can use their kokromoti. Their vote will make a change. They're ready, prepared, and they're ready to change the situations of Ghana. Now, the other half is also saying that they are not too sure how significant their voices are when it comes to the election. So they don't know why they should go and stand in long queues to vote. Now, today I stand here because I want to find out why we as 18-year-olds would want to vote. And as I said, we're not having this conversation alone. We have with us Dr. Imurana, who is going to be answering all the questions. But before we do that, I want to see how many of us have already registered, because you know that the limited voters registration is still going on, right? How many of us have registered, have gotten our voters ID? Let me see hands. Right, there's a number of hands. Okay, so I'm coming to you. So you tell me, the experience, you just went to take it. Are you excited? How was it? Share your experience with me. Let me see those who raised their hands. I can see me, I remember, I'll come to you. All right, I see a hand here. Beautiful lady, you tell me your name. So if it's nice, I can steal it. And then you can tell me what the experience is.
I am Martha. It was stressful, the queue, but we stood under the sun just to make a new ID because the first one got missing and I have to do another one. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm number 4. I did my registration 3 weeks ago, and I did it at Legon campus in front of Legon main hall. Actually, I didn't go through stress because I was there early. I sat there on time, and they came to service me well. Even the MP for this constituency, Ma Lydia, came there, and she also gave me papaya. She shared papaya to the people, so yeah, I had a very wonderful experience over there.
My name is Said Amatu. Even though it was stressful and other things, we have to move up and down from one place to other to extent of going out of campus. That was the first week it started. There was a lot of queue. So the reason why we go through that is because we want to bring out our voices so that our voices will be heard and change will be made.
Please put your hands together for her and all those who answered. So it's, at the end of the day, it is important. I like that she says that it gives us the chance to use our voices. Our voices are key. Our voices matter, especially when it comes to elections. Now, the floor is open. Any issue you want to put across, questions you want to ask, Dr. Imurana is ready.
My name is Gakweto Promise. Right. Please, my question is, per the EC decision, she decided to make the Ghana card the sole document for this registration. So can't you see that the EC boss is trying to create some artificial barrier from other people to take part in this live voting? Because the thing is that some people really don't have the Ghana card. Pay me like this, I don't have the Ghana card. So as I went there, they were like, unless I get guarantor, me who I don't have any guarantor. So I have decided to go back. All right, so that's my question.
All right. 2 more so he can answer us. 2 more so he can answer us, dear.
Please, Bismarck Mate. And please, mine is concerning what's going to influence, like, my decision in terms of voting. This time, this election is going to be my second time. For the first one, I voted based on influence, like from my family members and so on. But this time, I'm well informed, and I will be taking, like, some factors into consideration, like inflation and so on, the cost of things and so on. So based on these factors, will I be voting?
My name is Ufoy Gifty. What will influence I'm a first-time voter, so what will influence my decision to vote is I'll be looking at the policies that the political parties have, not just going to vote for any political party at all. Check the policies and check how good they are, how they'll influence us, and whether they can do it when they come into power or not.
All right. So, Dr. Imurana, you've heard 3 of the questions. Please, you can answer us. Yes, you do.
10 and maybe stand here, right?
Yes,
please. Good. Thank you very much. I think these are very brilliant comments and observations. No surprises anyway, because we are in an intellectual community. So I'll begin with the first one about the voter registration and the involvement of the EC. Voting is a right, right? But no right is absolute. Before you can enjoy any right, there are procedures and processes. So within the constraint of procedures and processes, the Electoral Commission has the mandate to regulate how the acquisition of voter ID card should be. Within that regulation, they stipulated certain, the constitutional provision is there that if you are 18 years and above of a sound mind, ordinarily resident in a particular area. These are constitutional qualifications for a Ghanaian to vote. You are a citizen. But how then do we verify? How do we do it? Do we have to wait till election day and then ring a bell and say anybody who is above 18 should come out and vote? That will be chaotic. So the commission has to make regulations. Within those regulations, they came out with things that you have to show as a means of identifying yourself as Ghanaian. 2 documents for this registration. In the past, there has been other documents, but for the specific reference for this one, it is the passport and then the Ghana card, right? Rightly observed, not everybody has the Ghana card, not everybody has a passport. They added additional layer. If you don't have both documents or any of these 2 documents, bring somebody who has registered. So they have a guarantor system, right? Bring somebody who has registered to come and vouch for you, okay? If they vouch for you, if the fellow is qualified and has acquired the card, they use their qualification and their card to vouch for your citizenship and your qualification so that you can register. So it doesn't stop with only the Ghana card. And the second things were observations. Somebody spoke about voting for the second time and the fact that the first one, it was an influence from family. You know, people cast their ballot for several reasons, right? There is some family traditions, you know, this is how we vote in this family. Everybody should follow it, right? But, you know, the real thing is that, especially those of us here, we can read, we can decipher, you know, truth. We can decipher facts. Democracy thrives when we vote on policies and programs. Democracy is an end in itself. The end product of democracy should be development on several fronts: social development, economic development. That is what it should deliver to us. So in casting our ballots, right, in spite of every family pressure, it is more important that you vote based on issues. That is why the political parties advertise their programs. They tell you this is what we want to do. It is better that we make choices based on issues. Then the third comment was about the difficulty in the registration, right? I love that this time we are talking about first-time voters. I think democracy, right, requires of us certain duties and responsibilities, right? If we have to enjoy the democratic system that we have we continue to enjoy because we've sustained democracy over 30 years. In some countries, right, leaders are chosen forcefully. Forcefully is a mild word. Forcibly, right? Through guns, through riots. And as young persons, maybe the little price that we can pay to sustain this our democracy is to bear with the system. It's not perfect. I would have loved that when you go to the registration center, it's a place like this where you have air conditions and then you can sit and wait. But we don't have that yet. But the little difficulties that we face at the moment should not be factors that should stop us from really going to register and using our thumb. That is one beautiful thing about democracy. Whilst in some other forms of government, probably it is through an individual pronouncement. This is your leader. In democratic system, we are blessed with the power of the thumb. And all these difficulties that we complain about is to give us that opportunity. Somebody spoke about voice. To let our voices be heard in our system of government. So I think that as young persons, we have to bear with the system. We should also be part of the processes of making the system better in the future. Because now we have so much technological advancement and young persons are in the forefront of technology. So we look forward, as you observe these difficulties, you'll be part of the process of solving these difficulties so that in the future we can, move our system forward on the technological front. Thank you.
All right, please put your hands together. Now, more questions. Anyone with more questions? I see more hands. Beautiful. My beautiful lady, I'll come to you, gentlemen, but let me ask, what do you want to know? Please tell me your name and then the question.
Okay, so I'm Juliet Hilary Nadi. So my question is, would there be another registration process? So let's say right now I'm 17, but I'll be 18, maybe September or October. Will I be allowed to register?
Dr. Miranda, please wait for me. 2 more.
Okay, so my question is, let's assume I'm a first-time voter, and per the election that has been taking places that we've been seeing, a lot of changes have not been happening. So I'm afraid of voting because even if I vote, it will not change because it's only 2 parties that keep on coming into power. And even if I vote or others vote, there is no change to it. It's still those parties that will still maintain or that will still be in power. So what is the way forward to educate such person like me?
The pressure is getting worse. My dear.
Okay, I'm Desmond Yeboah. My colleague said he left the place because he was not having a Ghana card. And the guarantor system too, he didn't bring anyone. So I'm asking that I had the opportunity to be a party agent at our constituency. And then when it happened like that, they would just take anyone to serve as a guarantor for that person. So I'm asking, is it very necessary? What is the effect on that?
All right.
Dr. Miranda, over to you.
Thank you very much. Let me answer or respond. I don't like the word answer. Let me respond to the question in order in which they came. I think the first person talked about any opportunity that exists for somebody who is 17 now and be, probably 18 in September. I think per the Electoral Commission's timetable, this is the only registration window for people who have who can register for the coming election 2024. I know there has been several conversations. We don't have a perfect system yet. In some countries, they have what they call continuous registration. In others, they have continual, right? Continuous in the sense that any day that you are 18, you can walk to a nearby Electoral Commission office and register. Continual in the sense that the commission will periodically, maybe after here in September, there is another window. But they've not, all those things have to be regulated by laws. They've not done that yet. So unfortunately, per the arrangement that they have, this is the window for people who have acquired, who have attained 18. I think in the past, others will suffer similar fate because we were 17 or 1 month before previous registrations. and we couldn't access it. But there is hope. Our democracy, I believe, that continues. If you are unable to acquire a card for this one, there will be an opportunity for you in the future when the window opens.
Thank you for staying with us. After those riveting conversations in politics, let's now talk about Outstanding Teachers Summit. It's a gathering that recognizes, equips, empowers, and celebrates exceptional Ghanaian educators. And my guest in the studio with me will be telling us all about it. So who are my guests? First, the 2022 National Best Teacher and the convener for Outstanding Teachers Summit, Stella Jima Labi. And she's joined by Dr. Kimberly West, the founder and president of Teach STEM Africa, who are partners. Teach STEM Africa is actually an NGO in the USA. Ladies, looking so colorful, welcome to the studio. So, start off the conversation, Stella. Tell me a bit about Outstanding Teachers Summit. What do you do and who are you?
Okay, so after winning Teacher of the Year in 2022, before the next Teacher of the Year, that was in 2023, I got a prompting that can there be a gathering where teachers will have the opportunity to talk about their challenges, and then we bring in experts to also talk about how they can bridge the gap between industry and academia. And so our main objective is to create a platform where teachers will also believe that I also have a stage and I can share my ideas. I also have a stage and I can collaborate, and I have a stage where I can engage with others to shape my classroom, to shape me as an individual, and to shape the community.
Fantastic work you're doing so far.
Thank you.
And now Teach STEM Africa, you are based in the USA,
Yes.
but you're partnering with Outstanding Teachers Summit this year.
Yes.
So what do you do in the USA, and what's the intention behind partnering with Outstanding Teachers Summit this year?
Wonderful. So as a nonprofit, we are focused on helping those in our community. And so even though we are based in the United States, you all are also within our community.
Yeah.
And so we are looking at working with schools, partnering with schools to help support STEM education. And so by that I mean science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And so making sure that teachers are equipped with professional development, with feedback that we provide from classroom observations, school visits, and then also providing some instructional and teaching resources to support that. And so that's very important to us, to partner with schools, because we know and understand that when teachers are well equipped and they have what they need and they have the tools and support they need, that the learners can do exceptional.
We are all teachers, so I really understand exactly what you're saying. But Stella, briefly tell me about this year's summit, what to expect, where and when it's happening, and who's invited.
So this year's summit is actually power-packed. It's not a day affair.
Okay.
It's actually 2 days. The first day is solely for STEM. So Dr. Kimberly West, in partnership with Ghana Education Service, Greater Accra, and then Adenta Municipality, we are having a special STEM session for teachers in Adenta. Because I'm in Adenta, I thought we have randomly selected teachers. So that one is not open to everybody. That's happening tomorrow at Luxury West Hotel. That's limited, so not everybody is invited. But on Wednesday, which is the second day, we have the summit itself, which is open to every teacher. It's going to happen at the Accra College of Education, their auditorium, and we have a power-packed of speakers.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Kimberly,
yes,
who is invited? And you've already said teachers, but I want to give you about 30 seconds to actually speak directly to our audience, inviting them to show up on the second day, since the first day is limited. So
yes,
you have your 30 seconds now.
I want to invite all educators to please come, because not only will you come and be refreshed and be renewed as an educator, but it's going to be some great conversation, some great dialogue, because STEM education is important. We want you to know, we want you to understand how much we value you as a STEM, as a teacher, and how much we want to support you. So we want you to please come out and join us.
Okay. Stella, your turn now.
Yeah. So some of the list of speakers, we have Dr. Maxwell Lampong from Maxwell Investment.
Okay.
Yeah, since we are looking at bridging the gap between industry and academia, we have Dr. Maxwell coming to talk about the teacher's investment. We also have Dr. Kimberly West here. She's going to speak.
Okay.
And then we have Mrs. Mavis Leonards from Leonards Groups of Companies. And then our panelists, we're going to have 2 panel sessions. We have the panel for educators, where we will have the regional chairperson for Greater Accra NAT. We also have Professor Samuel Awinkini Atintanu. Okay. He's the principal for Accra College of Education. Okay. Then we will have Dr. Dominic Odro Entry, and then Dr. Legini Roberts Pimpin. They are going to talk about the industry, actually, and then we also have the director for Global Wings. On their panel, we are going to look at exploring doors of opportunities for the teacher. Where are the doors? Where are the opportunities? What can the teacher venture into while she teaches or he teaches and earn at the same time holistically without teaching 30% and then doing business 70%.
Okay.
We are looking at a platform where the teacher can enter the classroom and give his or her best without thinking all about the money. And so these people will come and share their thoughts. And then for the teachers panel, we will have Chief Idi Amin Firdaus. He was the 2nd runner-up for last year's teacher prize. And then we will have Ivy Kinfuburu from Mampong. Presby Secondary Technical, Alexandra Watson. She's from the US as well. She's an elementary math and science educator. And then God Afo, he's a lecturer and a memory trainer. So these people,
a tall list of people. You know,
yes,
okay.
yes. We feel that this opportunity is not just gather people, the normal talk shop, but it should be an opportunity where the teacher lives and is rebranded. Okay. Where the teacher lives and becomes outstanding in everything that they do.
As is in the name, Outstanding Teachers Summit.
Yeah.
So quickly, is there a number to call? How do they reach you before we go?
Okay.
We do have
to
go.
So +233 or 0249 886236.
Do that again.
0249 886236 or 0261341 it's a platform for all educators at all levels.
All right.
Our chairperson for this year's summit is going to be Dr. Stella Jenny Boating.
All right.
And then the whole out team, it's there, Dr. Efwaya Kohene, Mr. Emmanuel Kwashi, Divine.
So,
I can't mention all their names, but they've all been amazing.
All right.
Giving all
so
the
we
support.
do have to go because we don't have enough time. But you can call these numbers and get more information, register and participate in this outstanding Teachers Summit event. Thank you, Dr. Kimberly West, founder and president of Teach STEM Africa, who are partners for Outstanding Teachers Summits for this year, and Stella Jimalabi, the 2022 National Best Teacher and the convener for Outstanding Teachers Summit. Thank you for coming to the studio.
Thank
and
you.
I wish you the very best in the summit.
Thank you.
All right, so this is how we're wrapping up. But before I go, let me do a couple of birthday messages. So happy birthday to Clarice Dede Dodi Eduama. God bless and make you great. From your lovely husband, Mr. Dodiama, and your lovely family. We love you. Happy birthday, Madam Clarice. And there's also a happy birthday message going out to, if I can find that in a bit, from our very own producer here. Happy birthday. It's always the same person. Happy birthday to Clarice Dede Doduama. So they are celebrating you today. You are loved. But before we go, we're wrapping up for this morning. My name is Sweetie Abochi. I do this with Benjamin Akako. But I leave you with a photo of the day. Here you have it on your screens now. See you again tomorrow at 6 a.m. Bye for now.